Chapter 2951. What you need to take note of is that in Devil's Cave, you are not allowed to casually attack others. You are not allowed to use any artifacts that can strengthen your soul power or resist the soul pressure. You are not allowed to use pets or battle beasts to resist the soul pressure for you. You are not allowed to ask others for help. If you violate this rule, you will scram. All right, you all understand. Now you can begin. Enter Devil's Cave in order. Don't worry about not having enough time. After entering, you will all stay at the starting point and then set off at the same time. Demon Envoy Lin Gung continued. Hearing this, the people who were originally at the back of the line heaved a sigh of relief. When everyone entered the portal, they realized that it was really big inside. It was simply a different world. There was absolutely no problem in setting off at the same time. Even if more than 200,000 people stood at the same starting line, it didn't matter. They could all stand. Begin. After seeing that everyone was ready, Demon Envoy Lin Gung yelled loudly. The warriors who had participated in the Devil's Cave examination before were not in a hurry to rush out. Instead, some warriors who were participating for the first time were afraid that they would fall behind. After hearing Lin Gung's words, they rushed out with all their might. Ling Xiao didn't set off immediately because he saw that those old foxes didn't move. Although these guys might have participated in the examination several times and failed, they must be very experienced. There shouldn't be any harm in following them. At this moment, he suddenly heard a terrified scream. Thus, he looked in the direction of the sound. It turned out that among the 100,000 people who rushed out first, 70 to 80,000 of them were kneeling on the ground. They hugged their heads and screamed in pain. Some even fainted. What a terrifying soul pressure, but it's useless against me. Ling Xiao had a rough idea of the structure of Devil's Cave. He was also very familiar with that terrifying soul pressure. It should be the dragon turtle that released the demonic aura. Chi-Chi, let's go. Although 70 to 80,000 of the 100,000 people stopped at the beginning, there were still 20 to 30,000 who stood up and began to move forward. Ling Xiao didn't want to delay for too long. Yes, big brother. Chi-Chi probably didn't know Ling Xiao's strength. In her heart, Ling Xiao was stronger than her, stronger than everyone here. If Ling Xiao knew what she was thinking, he would be under a lot of pressure. The two of them lifted their feet and walked out of the starting point. Once they stepped out, they would have to endure a terrifying soul pressure. Many people were looking at Ling Xiao, including Lin Feiyang. That little girl should be fine, but I'm afraid that kid is going to faint. Ha ha ha! I guess he thought that he could pass this stage by cheating a powerful girl to help him. He didn't expect that this stage doesn't allow others to help him. That's right, that's right. Look at how weak his cultivation is and how strong his soul power is. He'll definitely be finished. Ling Xiao only smiled faintly when he heard the discussions of Gao Yi and the others. A bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. What a joke. In terms of soul power, not to mention all the participants here, even the demon envoy Lin Gung couldn't possibly be stronger than him. Wow. At this moment, gasps of surprise could be heard from the crowd. Their surprise was for Xiao Chi-Chi. Xiao Chi-Chi was standing there as if nothing had happened. It was enough to show how powerful her soul power was. The soul coercion at the beginning was nothing to Xiao Chi-Chi. However, these gasps of surprise stopped abruptly after a moment because everyone was staring at Ling Xiao with their mouths agape. Ling Xiao also left the starting point and stood there without blushing. Not only did he not faint as expected, he didn't even look uncomfortable. Damn, this kid's soul power is very strong. Yeah, I really underestimated him. Could he be a soul clan warrior? Lin Feiyang's face was even colder. He originally wanted to see Ling Xiao make a fool of himself, but he ended up seeing this scene. It really made him unhappy. Big brother, you're really powerful. Chi-Chi didn't feel wrong. Standing next to Big brother, I feel like my soul is like a child. But standing in front of those people, their souls are like children compared to mine. Chi-Chi clapped her hands excitedly. You can feel my soul. Ling Xiao asked. Yeah, my martial soul is quite special. I can tell if a person's soul is good or bad, strong or weak. That guy called Lin Feiyang is not a good person. Chi-Chi nodded and said, This martial soul is quite special. No wonder you dare to follow me without worry. I won't harm you. Ling Xiao finally understood why Chi-Chi said that Lin Feiyang was a bad person and why she insisted on following him and saying that he was her backer. It was all because of Chi-Chi's martial soul. The two of them talked and laughed as they walked forward. Lin Feiyang gritted his teeth. He knew that he couldn't fall behind, so he also rushed forward. The others didn't wait any longer, and all rushed into the competition area. However, there was another wave of complaints. This time, tens of thousands of people were eliminated. Lin Gang, who do you think will get first place in this round? At some point, a charming woman had also entered Devil's Cave. She stood beside Lin Gang and asked with a smile, Why do you ask when you already know the answer? Lin Feiyang is your younger brother. Whether it is his strength or soul power, he is very powerful among his peers. Lin Gang looked at the woman and said, That might not be the case. That little girl called Xiao Chi-Chi is also very powerful. And that little guy called Ling Xiao, he is very interesting. His cultivation is very weak, but his soul power is not weak. The charming woman said with a smile, Xiao Chi-Chi is still young. As for that Ling Xiao, I can't see how strong he is. But his cultivation is still too weak. He might be able to hold on at the beginning, but later on he won't be able to. No matter what, soul power is directly proportional to one's cultivation. Lin Gang said again, Lin Xian, you seem to care too much about that Ling Xiao. I didn't notice him before. How can I not care about someone who dares to offend my younger brother? Lin Xian said with a smile, You want to fight? Not to that extent. He is not worthy for me to fight. My younger brother can handle him. Lin Xian shook her head and said, Forget it. You do what you need to do. I still have a mission, so I will leave first. Watching Lin Xian leave, Lin Gang secretly nodded his head. Although it was a bit cruel, what she said was true. That little guy called Ling Xiao didn't know how to endure. He offended Lin Feiyang so quickly, he probably didn't have a chance anymore. Lin Gang looked at the competition area again. At this time, Ling Xiao and Xiao Chi-Chi were still talking and laughing as they walked slowly. The two of them didn't seem to care whether they were in front or not. Many people who started later had already surpassed them, including Lin Feiyang. They were long gone. However, Ling Xiao really wasn't worried. The key to this assessment wasn't about who passed first. Chapter 2952. As they continued to go deeper, Xiao Chi-Chi began to feel some pressure. The people around her constantly fainted and begged for mercy. Of course, even more people were walking forward with heavy steps and pale faces. Their speed was not fast. These people's soul power was not bad. But compared to them, Ling Xiao was a little too outstanding. The disciples of Devil Dragon Sword Court were constantly cleaning up those who fainted and begged for mercy. These disciples of Devil Dragon Sword Court had the same soul power as Lin Feiyang and Xiao Chi-Chi. Therefore, in the beginning of the journey, they were relatively relaxed and could basically ignore this kind of soul pressure. However, it was impossible to say that they were completely fine like Ling Xiao. After about 20 minutes, Ling Xiao found that most of the participants who were at the early and middle stage of the 14th level of hell had been eliminated. Only he was still in the crowd. There were more than 200,000 people before, but now there were only 100,000 left. However, this Devil's Cave still seemed to have no end, which made people feel desperate. At this time, Xiao Chi-Chi's forehead began to sweat. It was obvious that Xiao Chi-Chi felt some pressure when she arrived here. Of course, this pressure was still nothing to her, but for others it was just like hell. Big brother, you're amazing. You're not even panting. I guess no one has ever reached the end of Devil's Cave. You're going to be the first to reach the end. Xiao Chi-Chi looked at Ling Xiao with admiration in her eyes. It felt good to be admired by a martial artist who was stronger than her. Big brother, I know you're taking care of me, so you're walking so slowly. It's okay, you go first. Anyway, fighting is not allowed here. Xiao Qiqi suddenly said. Can I really? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Of course. Xiao Qiqi nodded and said, Okay, in order to end this boring competition as soon as possible, I'll go to the end first. Ling Xiao thought about it and agreed. With Xiao Qiqi's strength, what was there to worry about? Therefore, he began to speed up. His figure flew like crazy in Devil's Cave. This scene not only shocked the participants, but also the disciples of Devil Dragon Sword Court who were in charge of cleaning up the eliminated participants. Damn, who is this? He's so scary. We're already here, and even we can't be so relaxed. How can he run so fast? That's right, it's too inconceivable. Although movement techniques don't consume soul power, they still require soul power to control them. Under the terrifying soul pressure, it's simply impossible for most people to execute their movement techniques so perfectly. This boy wouldn't really be a soul race martial artist, right? That must be it. Otherwise, how could his soul force be so strong? With his speed, he will soon reach the passing line. That's not right. I'm afraid that passing is not his goal. I think this kid is aiming for first place. Lin Feiyang is in danger. I didn't expect that he would encounter a Soul Clan cultivator here. This is their home ground. Ling Xiao's sudden acceleration left everyone dumbfounded and shocked. Although Xiao Qiqi was right behind him, she was also running very fast. Usually, Xiao Qiqi would be the center of attention. However, Ling Xiao was too dazzling and eye-catching. Using the demonic dragon phantom movement technique, he was like a demonic dragon flying through Devil's Cave. Countless figures were left behind by him. In a moment, he rushed from tens of thousands to tens of thousands, and his speed did not decrease at all. What's going on? Demon Envoy Lin Gang also noticed Ling Xiao at this time. It would be strange if such a flashy run did not attract attention. This guy's cultivation is so weak, but his soul force is so strong. The soul pressure of Devil's Cave has no effect on him at all. Let me see. Is he using a Dharma treasure? Lin Gang took out a mirror and shone it at Ling Xiao. No, without a Dharma treasure, his soul force is so terrifying. Even an ordinary soul race martial artist can't do that. I'm afraid this kid is not only a soul race, but also a genius among the soul race martial artists. Lin Xian, oh Lin Xian, we've all misjudged. Your brother Lin Feiyang, at least in this round, can't be this kid's opponent. Lin Gang sighed and felt a little regretful. In his opinion, even if Ling Xiao took first place in this round, he would not be able to escape from Lin Feiyang's persecution. Although he was a demon envoy, he was not related to Ling Xiao. He could not make an enemy of Lin Xian for Ling Xiao. At this time, Ling Xiao had already caught up to the 10th place. Lin Feiyang was the leader of the group. He and the other person were in the first group. The rest of the people were left behind. Even the 3rd place was a full 1,000 meters away from Lin Feiyang. If it was outside, 1,000 meters was nothing. But in Devil's Cave, 100 meters was an insurmountable gap, let alone 1,000 meters. Young Master Lin, why don't we sit down and rest? No one can catch up to us anymore. The 2nd place martial artist said to Lin Feiyang. It could be seen that this guy had a good relationship with Lin Feiyang. In order to take care of him, Lin Feiyang had been running side by side. If they really ran, Lin Feiyang could leave this guy far behind. It had to be said that Lin Feiyang was one of the best among the hundreds of thousands of contestants. Other than being pretentious, there was nothing to be picky about. If he had not met Ling Xiao, it would have been easy for him to get the 1st place. It was a pity that he was destined to be incompatible with Ling Xiao. Lin Feiyang and the 2nd place martial artist had just sat down. Suddenly, a black figure rushed over from afar. This gave the two of them a fright. Who is it? How can he be so fast? They stood up abruptly, their faces full of shock. It can't be that little girl called Xiao Qiqi, right? The second place martial artist guessed. No, it's him. How can it be him? Lin Feiyang saw the person's face clearly, so he was even more shocked. It was actually Ling Xiao, that small fry that he didn't even care about. Hey, isn't this little doggy Lin? Why can't you walk anymore? I saw that you were quite awe-inspiring when you were outside. Ling Xiao's voice suddenly rang out. Then he deliberately stood beside Lin Feiyang, stopped, and looked at Lin Feiyang mockingly. Kid, don't be so smug. I'm just taking a short rest. Although Lin Feiyang was angry, he knew that he could not hit someone at this time. Otherwise, he would be eliminated directly. Is that so? Then I'll take a rest too. You guys go first. Ling Xiao sat down and waved at Lin Feiyang. Damn it! How dare you look down on us? Young Master Lin, let's go. I don't believe that he can continue to run after rushing so fiercely. The soul pressure ahead is even more terrifying. His cultivation is so weak, how can he keep up? Chapter 2953. So what if I look down on you? Why don't we have a competition? Ling Xiao stood up and looked at the two of them with a smile. Boy, don't be too proud. If you dare to surpass me and take first place, I'll kill you. Lin Feiyang was not a fool. He could see that Ling Xiao's soul power was far superior to his. There was no way he could win this round. So he changed it to a threat. You're threatening me? You've used this old trick before. But I'm sorry, I'm definitely going to take first place. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. He lifted his leg and continued to charge forward. How dare you? Lin Feiyang's face showed a fierce expression. He then said to the warrior who was ranked second, Kill him! But I'll lose my qualification. That warrior hesitated. So what if you lose your qualification? The Lin family will give you enough compensation. Lin Feiyang said coldly. If you don't cooperate, don't blame me for being rude. All right, that warrior was threatened by Lin Feiyang. He did not dare to disobey. He gritted his teeth and took out a bow from his storage ring. The bowstring was pulled open. There was no arrow. However, when he circulated his inner energy, a yellow elemental arrow appeared and flew toward him. It was extremely fast. It was even faster than Ling Xiao's speed. In the blink of an eye, it was behind Ling Xiao. Lin Feiyang's lips curled into a cruel smile. Serves you right. Those who dare to surpass me, Lin Feiyang must die. Stop! Demon Envoy Lin Gang also noticed the situation. He wanted to stop it, but it was too late. He could only watch as the elemental arrow flew toward Ling Xiao. It's over. Lin Gang sighed. He could not absolve himself from the blame for something like this happening under his watch. Big brother. At this moment, Xiao Qiqi had also caught up. When she saw this scene, her face turned pale with fright. She immediately sped up and rushed forward to save Ling Xiao. Unfortunately, even the demon envoy Lin Gang could not catch up, much less her. After passing the passing line, the soul coercion instantly increased by a lot. Even Xiao Qiqi felt dizzy. However, right at the moment when Lin Feiyang sneered, Xiao Qiqi was furious and sad. Lin Gang felt helpless. Something strange happened. Just as the elemental arrow was about to hit Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao's speed suddenly increased again. He turned into a bolt of lightning and fled forward. The elemental arrow was unable to catch up to him and finally fell to the ground, losing its momentum. Looking at this strange scene, everyone was shocked to the point of being dumbfounded. So strong, Big Brother is so strong. Xiao Qiqi was even more impressed with this backer of hers. This brat actually hid his strength. His soul force is actually stronger than mine. Demon Envoy Lin Gang was also shocked. Under this kind of soul pressure, even he couldn't maintain such a speed. Where did Ling Xiao come from? Who was he? At this moment, Lin Feiyang was in complete despair. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. His cultivation is so much weaker than mine. How can his soul force be so strong? This doesn't make sense. Lin Feiyang shook his head desperately and rushed forward frantically. Since he could not kill Ling Xiao, he still wanted to fight for the first place. However, his situation was much worse. Not only was his face getting paler, but even the scenery in front of him seemed to be gradually blurred. Even his divine sense showed signs of weakening. He really overestimated himself. He thought that he could still give it a try, but in the end, he realized that Ling Xiao's easy journey was simply hell to him. His body swayed and fell to the ground. Blood flowed out of his eyes, nostrils, and mouth. It was too terrifying, that kind of soul coercion. It was as if a terrifying and powerful dragon turtle was stepping on his body, making him breathless. He could not move at all. No, this is impossible. He still could not accept such an outcome. He could no longer stand up. However, Ling Xiao, whom he looked down on, was moving at a speed that was difficult to follow with the naked eye, toward the end of Devil's Cave. Damn it! He fiercely punched the ground. Thinking of Ling Xiao's mocking smile, he was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Demon envoy Lin Gang was also stunned for a long time. Suddenly, the bracelet on his wrist issued a notification. He came back to his senses and raised his hand. The time for the test is up. There are a total of 10,004 people who passed the passing line. Today, someone broke the Devil's Cave record that had not been broken for a long time. His name is Ling Xiao. He is also the first place of this Devil's Cave test. He will receive a reward of 300,000 mid-grade spirit stones, 100,000 for the champion, 200,000 for the record-breaking reward. Following Lin Gang's voice, the people who passed the passing line shouted excitedly. As for those who did not pass the passing line, their faces were dejected. More than 300,000 people. After passing the first test, there were only slightly more than 10,000 left. This kind of elimination speed was really terrifying. In the midst of their excitement, they remembered a person's name. That was Ling Xiao. Not only did he become the biggest dark horse and become the champion of the first test, but he also broke the Devil's Cave record. Okay, the martial artists who successfully passed the first test can follow me to the second test. You will get 2 hours of rest. Seize the time to recover. The second test will be more difficult than the first. Be mentally prepared. Speaking of this, Lin Gang glanced at Ling Xiao, who had returned from the finish line. He found that Ling Xiao still did not look tired at all. It was as if he did not do anything. For martial artists, anyone who reached the pinnacle of anything was considered a genius. Soul power was naturally the same. Lin Gang began to have some expectations for Ling Xiao. Demon envoy, this guy must have cheated. He must have used a magic weapon. Otherwise, it would not be so easy. Outside the Devil's Cave, Lin Feiyang suddenly shouted in front of many people. He was criticizing Ling Xiao. So he cheated. No wonder he could pass so easily with such a low cultivation. He is too cunning. Yes, with his cultivation, how can he be better than Lin Feiyang and Xiao Qiqi? Ridiculous. The people who said such things were basically those who had been eliminated. They were jealous, and that was why they said such things. If they had a hard time, they would not let others have a good time. Ling Xiao looked at demon envoy Lin Gang indifferently. He wanted to see what this demon envoy would do. Shut up, Lin Gang shouted sternly. Those who did not pass the test should think about their own problems. Don't frame others because of jealousy. And you, Lin Feiyang, for Lin Xian's sake, I will let you go this time. But next time, if you dare to talk nonsense, I will cripple you. What do you think I am? Do you think I don't know if he used a magic weapon? Idiot. After speaking, Lin Gang did not look back and walked toward the second test. Ling Xiao looked at Lin Feiyang contemptuously. What a disgrace. You lost, and you are still not convinced. If your sister Lin Xian knew about this, she would vomit blood. Chapter 2954. Ling Xiao called out to Xiao Qiqi and followed Lin Gang to the direction of the second stage together with the others who had passed the first stage. Lin Feiyang lowered his head and trembled all over. Once again, he made a fool of himself like a clown. There were already sounds of discussion in the crowd. What bullsh**! T genius. Lin Feiyang is too disappointing. He just didn't get first place and he's framing others? Haha, that's right. Look at him. He's so funny. This is the Devil Dragon Sword Court. That's Demon Envoy Lin Gang. Wouldn't he know if Ling Xiao used a treasure or not? Hearing these words, Lin Feiyang lowered his head even more, and his face turned even uglier. He silently told himself that he must kill Ling Xiao. He must. Otherwise, how could he live in the future? At the same time, some people were also discussing Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Xiao won the first round and broke the Devil Dragon Sword Court's 10,000-year record. Many people were paying attention to him. TSK, I heard that Ling Xiao is a soul clan warrior. His soul power is unbelievable, that's for sure. A soul clan warrior's body is not strong enough, but his soul power is outstanding. The first round was designed for him. If he doesn't get first place, he won't be able to live up to his identity as a soul clan warrior. Actually, Lin Feiyang doesn't need to be so unconvinced. Even if he lost the first round, it's nothing. The next 2 rounds have higher requirements for the body, and it's not just a simple test. Ling Xiao doesn't have a chance to beat him. What's wrong with accepting defeat? Why can't he accept it? That's right. Ling Xiao is already 16 years old, but his cultivation is only at the early stage of the 14th level of hell. Lin Feiyang is only 14 years old, but his cultivation is already at the peak of the 14th level of hell. In terms of talent and strength, Lin Feiyang is far superior to Ling Xiao. There's no need to fuss over such a small matter. He just needs to beat that kid in the next 2 rounds. In my opinion, Ling Xiao might not even pass the next 2 rounds, let alone first place. That's right. In the end, having a strong soul force doesn't mean that one is strong. From the discussions of these people, it was not difficult to tell that there were actually many people who were not convinced by Ling Xiao. They explained Ling Xiao's results in the first round as a racial advantage of the soul race. They believed that Ling Xiao would definitely be eliminated in the following assessment. Big brother, those guys are looking down on you. Xiao Qiqi said. It doesn't matter. Facts will prove everything. Let's work hard together and fight for both of us to stay. Ling Xiao rubbed Qiqi's head and said with a smile. Yes, let's work hard together. In fact, Xiao Qiqi did not like it when others touched her head, unless it was her mother or someone she admired the most. Today, Xiao Qiqi regarded Ling Xiao as the person she admired the most. She did not mind at all when Ling Xiao patted her head. The location of the second stage was not some small world. It was within the Demon Dragon Sword Court. It was located on a cliff of the Demon Dragon Sword Court. There were a total of 72 statues on the cliff. The statues were the 72 demon envoys of the first generation of the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Ling Xiao was not very clear about the use of these statues, but he could feel that each of them contained a very terrifying energy. Presumably, the second stage of the assessment should be related to these statues. Now you can rest here. You are not allowed to walk around freely in the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Ling Xiao, come here and receive your reward. Demon Envoy Lin Gang called out to Ling Xiao. At this time, other than Lin Gang, the other 71 demon envoys of the Demon Dragon Sword Court had also arrived. When Lin Xian heard that the champion of the first stage was actually Ling Xiao, who she looked down on, she was very surprised at first. Then, she immediately revealed a meaningful sneer. Under everyone's attention, Ling Xiao calmly received a total of 300,000 mid-grade spirit stones as a reward. Seeing this, the eyes of countless warriors were filled with jealousy. Of course, they did not come here for spirit stones, but to be able to join the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Therefore, after experiencing the initial jealousy, their mentality gradually calmed down. Ling Xiao, the 72 demon envoys of the Demon Dragon Sword Court are all here. Do a good job. Perhaps in the future, you may also become one of them. Lin Gang seemed to have a good impression of Ling Xiao. Lin Gang smiled. Thank you for your encouragement, Demon Envoy Lin Gang. I will definitely work hard. Ling Xiao looked at the 72 demon envoys. All of them were at the peak of the 15th level of the Yin-Yang realm. They were extremely powerful. None of them were people that he, Ling Xiao, could contend against. Of course, although he could not contend against them, it would not be easy for these people to kill him. This was his capital. This is the champion of the first stage. I heard that he broke the 10,000-year-old record. I thought he was very outstanding. I didn't expect his cultivation to be so weak. How disappointing. One of the demon envoys looked at Ling Xiao and said with disdain, I heard that he is a soul clan warrior. He probably benefited from his clan. So that's how it is. No wonder. Hearing these words, Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully. Look down on me. Look down on me. But don't worry. It won't be long before all of you are in awe of me. 2 hours of rest time was neither long nor short. Soon, there were only 10 minutes left. Demon Envoy Lin Gang began to announce the rules of the second stage. The rules are very simple. See these sculptures? No matter what you do, try your best to attack them with your strongest strength. Only when your attack power is strong enough can you activate the restrictions on the sculptures and obtain a ball of yin-yang energy from the first generation demon envoys. This yin-yang energy will condense into a ball of light above your head. Each ball of light represents that you have passed the test of a demon envoys. Whoever obtains more balls of light will have a better result. We only want the best 1,000 people to enter the next stage, so do your best. Just as Lin Gang finished speaking, Lin Xian spoke again. My junior brother doesn't like to talk nonsense, but I can tell you some interesting things. Each ball of light contains the powerful yin-yang energy of the first generation demon envoys. Moreover, it is very pure and can be directly absorbed. So, the better your results, the more benefits you will receive. You might even break through your cultivation very quickly. Lin Xian smiled and said, also, because this stage is much more difficult than the first stage, the reward for first place is twice as much as the previous stage. The reward for first place is 200,000 mid-grade spiritual stones. The reward for breaking the record is 400,000 mid-grade spiritual stones. So, if some people didn't perform well in the first stage, they will have to work hard in this stage. Her words were clearly for Lin Feiyang to hear. She was also comforting Lin Feiyang. As expected, after hearing this, Lin Feiyang's originally gloomy mood instantly rose. Chapter 2955. It seemed that Lin Feiyang had been encouraged by his sister Lin Xian's words and was reinvigorated. However, Ling Xiao smiled secretly. Sorry, Doggy Lin, but I'm definitely going to be the champion of the second round. He did not care what the others thought. In short, he did not plan to hold back. As long as he did not reveal his tyrant martial spirit, he would use any method. He must activate all 72 statues. All right, next, line up in 72 rows. Do you need me to teach you how to line up? After Lin Xian finished speaking, Lin Gang looked at the time and yelled sternly. 72 rows were quickly arranged. The number of people in each row was about the same. Although some rows had more and some had fewer people, it did not affect the results. Therefore, Lin Gang did not say much. Very good. Last minute, I'll explain. If you attack the statue and do not produce a ball of origin energy, then immediately step aside and you will be eliminated. If you produce a ball of origin energy, then line up at the end of another row. You are not allowed to cut in line. Also, if there are less than 1,000 people left, then you will advance to the next round according to the actual number of people. Do you understand? Yes. All right, time's up. Let's begin. Following Lin Gang's command, 72 people in the first row of the 72 rows walked out at the same time and stood in front of the statue. Ling Xiao and Xiao Chi-Chi's positions were at the end of the second row. Therefore, they were not in a hurry. They could carefully observe how the others were doing. This round was not a competition of speed. It was a competition of the number of origin energy balls one could obtain. There was no point in being anxious. However, Lin Feiyang was first in the first row. It seemed that he had suppressed a lot of anger in the first round and was ready to vent it in this round. As if to show off his strength, Lin Feiyang did not use any techniques. He just casually patted the statue and withdrew his arm. At that moment, the statue flashed with a bright light. Then, a ball of origin energy appeared on top of his head. As expected of Lin Feiyang, his attack power is so strong, just a casual hit can activate the statue. Yes, but I heard that with each additional ball of origin energy, the difficulty of activating the next statue will double. It's easy the first time, but it won't be easy after that. However, this Lin Feiyang should be able to get first place. There shouldn't be any problem. Although that Ling Xiao was dazzling in the first round, he still couldn't pass this round with only his soul power. Hearing such discussions, Lin Feiyang proudly walked to the end of the second row and stood right behind Ling Xiao. How is it, kid? Did you see that? This is true strength. Don't think that you can beat me just because you won the first round. Lin Feiyang said coldly as he looked at Ling Xiao. You're really shameless. You're the opportunistic one. You actually instigated others to attack Big Brother. Big Baddie. Before Ling Xiao could say anything, Xiao Chi-Chi made a face at Lin Feiyang and stuck out her tongue. Humph, you'll know how big the gap between him and me is in a while. Little girl, this young master has taken a fancy to you. So you will definitely be this young master's. Lin Feiyang snorted and looked at Xiao Chi-Chi with a greedy expression. People like you are simply asking for a beating. If you have such thoughts, you should use them on the assessment. You lost the first round and you said that I was opportunistic. If you lose the second round, I'll see what excuses you have. Ling Xiao looked at Lin Feiyang calmly and sneered. That's impossible. Lin Feiyang waved his hand forcefully and said, You don't understand. The demonic envoy statue needs a powerful attack to be activated. You're only at the early stage of the 14th level of hell. How powerful can your attack be? I'm at the peak of the 14th level of hell. How can I lose to you? Haha, it's because your cultivation is stronger than mine that you'll look bad if you lose. Moreover, your sister is watching from the side. You'll feel bad if you embarrass yourself in front of her. Ling Xiao smiled and stopped talking nonsense with Lin Feiyang. Instead, he looked at the others. At this moment, someone had already been eliminated. Although Lin Feiyang could activate the demonic envoy statue easily, that was because he was indeed powerful. The other martial artists did not have it so easy. Two of the martial artists used all of their strength, using 100% of their strength, but the demon envoy statue didn't even budge. Although the other martial artists also lit up their light balls, they did not have it as easy as Lin Feiyang. The first statue had used up all their strength. How could they activate the second statue? Soon, it was Xiao Chi-Chi's turn. This little girl followed Lin Feiyang's example. When Lin Feiyang tapped lightly, she tapped lightly too. Although she lacked combat experience, she was stronger than Lin Feiyang in terms of pure attack power. Therefore, she easily got the first light ball. After her, it was Ling Xiao's turn. At this moment, almost all the 72 demonic envoys turned their attention to him. Many of the martial artists who did not have their turn also looked at him. Ling Xiao got first place in the first round. How would he perform in the second round? His cultivation is so weak. He'll probably be eliminated directly. So what if he got first place in the first round? Lin Xian sneered. Not necessarily. Lin Gang thought of Ling Xiao's previous speed. He believed that a martial artist with such outstanding body movement would not be weak in attack power. Although he might not get first place, he would not be eliminated so easily. However, Ling Xiao's performance was beyond everyone's expectations. Lin Feiyang and Xiao Qiqi both tapped the statue with their hands. What about Ling Xiao? He only used one of his fingers to touch the statue gently. In an instant, a light ball appeared on top of his head. It was dazzling. Damn, it can't be. This guy's attack power is so strong. I've never heard of soul power increasing attack power. I don't understand. His cultivation is so weak, but his attack power is so strong. It seems that he might really be a contender for first place in the end. In just a moment, everyone's view of Ling Xiao changed completely. Lin Xian's face was a little ugly. Being slapped in the face by Ling Xiao was not a good feeling. Lin Feiyang's face was even uglier. He thought that he could easily suppress Ling Xiao in the second round. He did not expect Ling Xiao to be so relaxed. If you don't get first place, you know the consequences. Lin Xian walked to Lin Feiyang's side and said coldly in a low voice. Lin Feiyang's body trembled. He gritted his teeth and said, "Big sister, don't worry. I will get first place in this round. This is related to the Lin family's honor." It's good that you know. Lin Xian looked coldly at Ling Xiao, then turned and left. She probably did not want to stay here anymore because she was embarrassed. Although Lin Xian left, Lin Feiyang did not give her a warning. Chapter 2956. In order to prove that he was not inferior to Ling Xiao, Lin Feiyang only touched the statue with one finger. Similarly, a ball of light lit up. Those who did not know the truth were shocked beyond words. However, Xiao Qiqi smiled disdainfully and said, "Big brother, you didn't even use your inner energy just now, right?" This guy used almost 50% of his inner energy. He really can't compare to you. Qiqi can't compare to you either. Big brother, you're really too strong. Haha, it's good that you know this. There's no need to say it out loud. Ling Xiao smiled. It did not matter what method he used. What mattered was who could light up more balls of light. As time went by, there were only 3 people left on the field. Ling Xiao, Lin Feiyang, and Xiao Qiqi. There were already 11 balls of light above Lin Feiyang's head. They were dazzling. There were 10 balls of light above Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi's heads. They were equally eye-catching. As for the others, they could no longer continue. Lin Feiyang and Xiao Qiqi were present. Many people could understand. However, Ling Xiao, a martial artist at the early stage of the 14th level of hell in transformation 1 yin-yang state, was not eliminated. This was a little hard for them to accept. However, regardless of whether they accepted it or not, reality was reality. What they could not understand the most was that from the first statue to the 10th, Ling Xiao did the same thing. When he touched the statue with one finger, a ball of light was instantly produced. Therefore, no one could see how high his limit was. Although Lin Feiyang tried to compete with Ling Xiao, the 11th statue had already consumed nearly 90% of his inner energy. He had no choice but to use his martial arts technique. There was no other way. If he did not use his martial arts technique, the 11th ball of light would not light up at all. Xiao Qiqi's situation was similar. She had also used her martial arts technique. Everyone couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Could it be that Ling Xiao was really that powerful? I don't believe it. He must have cultivated some kind of powerful body-refining martial arts technique. That's why his body is so strong and his martial arts technique is not. Lin Feiyang snorted coldly. In fact, there were many people who had such thoughts. Otherwise, they would not be able to understand why Ling Xiao's performance was so good even though his cultivation was so low. Ling Xiao didn't care what they thought. Just like in the first trial, he clearly wasn't Espiritas, but those people insisted that he was. It was as if that was the only way they could accept his record-breaking results. What a joke! One of the reasons was that he needed a large number of mid-grade spirit stones to perform well today. Of course, more importantly, he hoped to be valued by the Devil Dragon Sword Court. After going through so many trials in the sect, he was very clear that only when your talent was recognized by the sect would the sect give you more resources and protect you. He came to the Devil Dragon Sword Court for 2 things. One was resources, This included martial arts and other resources. The other was to obtain the protection of the Devil Dragon Sword Court, which would allow them to avoid a lot of trouble. If he had been a disciple of the Devil Dragon Sword Court, the martial artists of the Heavenly Sword Hall in the border town would not have dared to treat him that way. Big brother, it's my turn. But I estimate that 11 demon envoy sculptures is the limit. Big brother, you have to continue working hard. I have high hopes for you. Xiao Chi-Chi clenched her small fists and then walked towards the 11th demon envoy sculpture. Everyone watched this scene nervously. If Xiao Chi-Chi could activate the 11th light ball, it meant that her results would be tied with Lin Feiyang's. Wait a minute. Ling Xiao called out to Xiao Chi-Chi, then leaned over and whispered a few words in her ear. Really, big brother? Xiao Chi-Chi blinked her big watery eyes and asked. Believe me, it's not wrong. Ling Xiao smiled. Yes, Chi-Chi believes in big brother. Xiao Chi-Chi nodded and then walked towards the demon envoy sculpture. At this time, whether it was those who had passed the passing line or those who had been eliminated, including the 72 demon envoys, they all looked at Xiao Chi-Chi. Although they didn't know what Ling Xiao said to Xiao Chi-Chi, they didn't care. The 11th demon envoy sculpture should be this little girl's limit. A demon envoy said, It's very good. In the past tens of thousands of years, the record for the demon envoy sculpture is only 13 sculptures. If she can activate the 11th sculpture, it's already quite impressive. The 3 little guys this time are not bad. Lin Gang, what do you think of these 3 people? Someone asked demon envoy Lin Gang. Lin Feiyang's limit should be 13 demon envoy sculptures. He can tie with the previous record. If there were no accidents, this little girl's limit should be 11 sculptures. As for Ling Xiao, to be honest, I can't see through him. Lin Gang sighed and said, This kid is too mysterious. I can't understand it now. His soul power is so powerful, but his body is also so strong. He must have cultivated some kind of powerful body refining technique, so his physical attack is the strongest. I've seen this kind of martial artist before. Someone guessed. Maybe. Lin Gang always felt that things might not be that simple. While the crowd was discussing, Xiao Chi-Chi had already stood in front of the demon envoy sculpture. Big brother said that I'm using the wrong method, so a lot of my inner energy is wasted. He told me to use my inner energy according to the method, he said. Then use 30% of my inner energy and a beginner soldier level martial arts technique to attack the sculpture. But when I activated the 10th sculpture, I used a high-level soldier level martial arts technique, and I used 90% of my inner energy. Is what he said true? Xiao Chi-Chi stood in front of the sculpture, hesitating. I don't care. Big brother is so powerful, my intuition can't be wrong. Thinking of this, Xiao Chi-Chi no longer hesitated. Then she began to use her inner energy to condense the technique. That's not right. Why is this little girl using a beginner soldier level martial arts technique? Is she planning to give up? And looking at her inner energy, it's much less than before. Could it be that her inner energy is not enough? She's still a child. She's only 11 years old. It seems that we've overestimated her. The 10th sculpture just now was her limit. The demon envoy's eyes were like torches. They instantly saw the difference between the martial arts technique and inner energy that Xiao Chi-Chi used before. However, there was a deviation in their judgment. Listening to their discussion, Ling Xiao's lips curled into a smile. There was a hint of contempt in his pride. When it came to the control of inner energy and martial arts technique, he was not bragging, but he reckoned that even the strongest person in the Eternal Palace was not as good as him. This was closely related to the Sky Tyrant martial soul and the Tai Chi Eye. This was also why he could pass the 2nd stage so easily. In fact, if the martial arts technique and inner energy were combined properly and were not wasted, the results of all the martial artists here would be much better. Unfortunately, they did not seem to notice this at all. Chapter 29:57. That little girl is not as good as me. If she were to follow me, I could teach her how to use her inner energy. Lin Feiyang snorted coldly and said proudly. These words were clearly meant for Ling Xiao to hear. Idiot! Ling Xiao said disdainfully. There were really too many self-righteous fellows out there. Boom! Just as Lin Feiyang was about to refute, Xiao Qiqi's attack had already landed on the devil envoy statue. Under everyone's dumbfounded expressions, the 11th ball of light lit up above her head. What? Other than Ling Xiao, everyone was dumbfounded, including Xiao Qiqi herself. She hadn't thought that activating the 11th demon envoy sculpture would be so easy. Oh, I did it. I did it. Xiao Qiqi ran down excitedly and jumped into Ling Xiao's arms. She kissed Ling Xiao's forehead fiercely. Big brother, thank you so much. You're really amazing. Looking at this scene, Lin Feiyang's face was very ugly, but he was also very confused. He did not understand what was going on at all. How could Xiao Qiqi activate the 11th devil envoy statue so easily? What did it have to do with Ling Xiao? Hey, we seem to have misjudged her. This little girl is not ordinary. She might be able to break the record. A devil envoy said with his eyes wide open. Her strength did not change. She just made some adjustments to the way she used her inner energy. How could there be such a big change? Did Ling Xiao say something to her? Lin Gang looked at Ling Xiao, and his heart was getting more and more excited. Who knew he might really have discovered a peerless genius this time? Ha, brother Lin, you must be joking. Ling Xiao's cultivation is so far away from her. How could he be her teacher? You think too highly of him. The other devil envoys did not think so highly of Ling Xiao like Lin Gang. All right, Qiqi, come down first. It's my turn. Ling Xiao put Xiao Qiqi down from his arms and walked to the statue. What do you think he will do this time? Someone in the crowd asked. He'll definitely have to use a martial technique. After all, this is the 11th sculpture. How can he activate it with just his physical strength? The person beside him said. I also heard the demon envoy say that after 10 sculptures, the resistance from activating the demon envoy sculpture will instantly rise by a level. So don't look at how relaxed he was before. This time, he should also be using his inner strength martial technique. Someone else said, the demon envoys didn't say a word this time because they had made a mistake in their previous judgment. They didn't want to be slapped in the face again. It turned out that they were right to be cautious. Once again, Ling Xiao only used one finger to light up the 11th ball of light. Monster! Unbelievable! Isn't this guy a little too abnormal? As the 11th ball of light lit up, countless people began to sigh. Ling Xiao had completely exceeded their expectations. His performance was simply too stunning and too valiant. Wow, Big Brother is amazing! Xiao Qiqi jumped up and down excitedly. Next, the pressure was on Lin Feiyang's side. He gritted his teeth and used almost all his strength to activate the 12th sculpture. However, Xiao Qiqi and Ling Xiao's performance was still very relaxed. The difference was that Xiao Qiqi used a mid-level soldier level martial technique this time. When it came to the 13th sculpture, it was the previous record. Lin Feiyang stood there and swallowed a pill, allowing his almost depleted internal energy to recover to its peak. This wasn't against the rules. Alchemical pills were allowed to be used because this stage tested one's attack power, not endurance and endurance. Lin Feiyang, don't forget your sister's words. You're the one that we all think highly of. You must tie this record. One of the demon envoys said loudly. His name was Qin Yuan. He was Lin Xian's lover, so he naturally supported Lin Feiyang. Don't worry, I will. Lin Feiyang gritted his teeth. When he thought of his sister, he was suddenly filled with courage. Then he looked at Xiao Qiqi and Ling Xiao and thought to himself, I don't believe that you can be more outstanding than the most outstanding disciple in the history of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. I'll definitely take the first place. Not only will I tie the record, but I'll also break it. Lin Feiyang's confidence came from the peak soldier level martial technique he had. He believed that in the small countries around, no one would have a peak soldier level martial technique. Therefore, in terms of attack power, no one in the same generation could compare with him. In the past, he had used this peak soldier level martial technique to kill a martial artist at the early stage of the 15th level of hell in the Yin Yang realm. Standing in front of the demon envoys, Lin Feiyang took a deep breath. Then he stretched out his right palm. At that moment, a terrifying aura was released from his body and rapidly increased. His inner strength was constantly condensing on his right palm. Because this move was too powerful, it took a long time to condense it. However, there was no time limit for this test, so he could boldly condense the power to the level he wanted. Oh, this is the peak soldier level martial technique that Lin Feiyang has. In the Devil Dragon Sword Court, only martial artists at the 15th level of hell in the Yin Yang realm are qualified to cultivate such a martial technique. Chun Yuan smiled. He was very satisfied. That's the skill that made him famous. He used this move to defeat enemies that were almost impossible to defeat. TSK. Aristocratic families are indeed different. He's only at the peak of the 14th level of hell in the Yin Yang realm, but he can learn a peak soldier level martial technique. How enviable. Don't be envious. Even if you have that martial technique, I'm afraid you won't be able to learn it. It requires talent. Do you understand talent? This is a genius who is qualified to be the disciple of the 13 demon generals. That Xiao Qi is not bad either. She can use a high-level soldier, level martial technique at the age of 11. She should be qualified. The demon envoy's discussion naturally avoided Ling Xiao. It was not that they looked down on Ling Xiao, but that they could not see through him. If Ling Xiao only had a strong soul and body, he would not be qualified to be the disciple of the 13 demon generals. In the midst of the discussion, Lin Feiyang finally finished condensing his move. His palm contained a terrifying power that could destroy the world. His hand was completely golden, as dazzling as the golden crow. Golden crow palm. With a roar, Lin Feiyang struck out with his palm. At that moment, the entire mountaintop turned into a golden light. Lin Feiyang's control tore through the void and heavily hit the demon envoy's statue. Boom! A terrifying sound was heard, and the mountain seemed to shake. Then, a ball of light appeared on top of his head. 13 balls of light. Lin Feiyang had tied the previous record. Lin Feiyang stood proudly in front of the statue, his face full of joy. Chapter 2958. As expected of Lin Feiyang, a young genius, the attack power of this move is really powerful. Although you've only cultivated the golden crow palm to the proficient level, its power is already above all the martial artists in the first turn Yin Yang states, 14th level of hell. Even most of the martial artists in the first turn Yin Yang states, 15th level of hell, can't compare to you. Chun Yuan praised loudly. Chun Yuan, it's too early for you to say that. Be careful not to get slapped in the face. Lin Gang reminded him. Slapped in the face? Chun Yuan sneered. You're talking about Ling Xiao and Xiao Qi, right? So what if they activate more statues? They're just opportunistic. Their attack power isn't as strong as Lin Feiyang's. In my opinion, the assessment rules for this round should be changed. Otherwise, it's too unfair. Do you think you can change the rules set by the sect just because you want it? Lin Gang frowned. Haha, you don't have to use the sect's rules to pressure me. The rules can't be changed without permission. However, you have to admit that no matter how good Ling Xiao and Xiao Qi's results are, their attack power isn't enough. In fact, their attack power isn't as strong as Lin Feiyang's. Chun Yuan laughed. Hearing Chun Yuan's words, Lin Feiyang seemed to be even more indignant. His attack power was obviously stronger than Ling Xiao and Xiao Qi's. Why was his result worse than theirs? Why did he have to lose to this opportunistic guy? He looked at Ling Xiao and roared. What else do the two of you know other than resorting to trickery? In terms of attack power, the two of you together can't compare to me. Everyone heard Lin Feiyang's words. That was because his indignant voice was not soft at all. Since he had already flipped out, how could Ling Xiao not respond? Is that so? You can take your incompetence and ignorance as an honor. You're really something. Chi-Chi, show him your true attack power. Ling Xiao looked at Xiao Chi-Chi and said, Got it, big brother. Xiao Chi-Chi nodded and walked to the 13th statue. It'll be fine as long as my attack power is similar to that big bad guy's. I can't expose my identity. Let's use that move. Standing in front of the sculpture, Xiao Chi-Chi tilted her head and pondered for a moment. Then, she began to prepare her technique. His terrifying aura surged in an instant. Is it also the golden crow palm? When Xiao Chi-Chi's palm turned into a dazzling golden light, everyone was stunned once again. Demon Envoy Chan Yuan almost dropped the fan he was using to show off. Both of them have mastered the golden crow divine palm, but this little girl's internal energy is slightly stronger than Lin Feiyang's. Lin Gung looked at Qin Yuan and said indifferently. The corners of Qin Yuan's mouth twitched violently. In the end, he did not say anything. The reality was right in front of him. What else could he say? Xiao Chi-Chi used the same trick to tie the record. Her attack power was obviously higher than Lin Feiyang's. Although it was just a little bit, it was still very high. Qin Yuan and Lin Feiyang's faces were completely swollen. Well done, Chi-Chi. Ling Xiao and Xiao Chi-Chi high-fived each other in celebration. What's there to be proud of? Xiao Chi-Chi's cultivation is much higher than mine. Her attack power is slightly stronger than mine. What's so great about that? In actual combat, she's definitely no match for me. Lin Feiyang said loudly. Many people agreed with his words. Xiao Chi-Chi's cultivation was at the early stage of the 15th level of hell. It was not surprising that her attack power was higher than Lin Feiyang's. Moreover, it was not much higher. That's right. I just said that Lin Feiyang's attack power is invincible below the 14th level of hell. Xiao Chi-Chi doesn't count. Qin Yuan also quibbled. Hearing their words, Ling Xiao smiled. He looked at Lin Feiyang and said, How's my cultivation compared to yours? How can your cultivation compare to mine? One is at the early stage while the other is at the peak. The gap is so big, Lin Feiyang said disdainfully. What if my attack power is stronger than yours? Ling Xiao said with a smile. Ha 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 ha, are you joking? Lin Feiyang was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed loudly. You, how dare you compare yourself to me? Haha, you're still so confident. Don't forget, you lost to me in the first round. Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully. Enough, Ling Xiao, you can start now. Chen Yuan could not help but shout. Yes, Sir Envoy. Ling Xiao did not like Qin Yuan, but he still had to respect him on the surface. After all, Qin Yuan's cultivation was indeed higher than his. He walked in front of the sculpture. Suddenly his body began to change. The ferocious beast soul of the Tyrannosaurus demon dragon transformed instantly. Under the sunlight, the blood-red scales looked very cruel, cold, and cool. He's actually a beast warrior? Seeing this, the 72 envoys were stunned. In the first round, Ling Xiao did not transform. From the second stage until now, he had only transformed. So before this, no one knew that he was actually a beast warrior and could even transform. After the transformation, Ling Xiao's aura was obviously strengthened by a lot. The terrifying aura was constantly released, causing many people to be stunned. And their surprise was far more than that. Ling Xiao took out the demon dragon sword. To maximize his attack power, the demon dragon sword was a must. That's the demon dragon sword. It's actually the demon dragon sword. Someone in the crowd exclaimed. What's the origin of the demon dragon sword? Someone asked. It's said that it was a treasure sword used by a senior of the demon dragon sword court. Although he no longer used it after his strength increased and became a collector's item, it's still a top-grade mortal artifact. Ordinary disciples are not qualified to have it. How did it end up in this kid's hands? Among the envoys, there were still people who knew about this history. Could it be that he's that senior's disciple? All the envoys were secretly guessing. However, Ling Xiao did not care about what they were thinking. He had already begun to prepare his move. Ling Xiao's strongest martial skill was the second move of the True Demon Sword Essence, the True Demon Sword Formation. And this was only a high-level soldier-level martial skill. Compared to Xiao Qiqi and Lin Feiyang, this move was a little inferior. But he also had his own advantages. That was, his True Demon Sword Formation had been cultivated to the perfection stage. Although the two's martial skills were of a high level, they were only proficient in it. Under everyone's attention, Ling Xiao released all the demon dragon swords, 1 mother sword and 9 child swords. A terrifying sword intent instantly soared into the sky. The 9 child swords began to spin crazily above his head. The terrifying aura rushed into the sky, wave after wave, radiating to the surroundings. Many people felt the cold, killing intent. What a terrifying sword intent! It turns out that this kid's strongest point is his sword skill, not his physical body. Lin Geng said in surprise, "We've found a treasure. This time, we've really found a treasure." Chun Yuan and Lin Feiyang's faces were a little ugly. Chapter 2959. High-level soldier-level martial arts technique? He's really from a small place. In terms of martial arts technique, he can't compare with Xiao Qiqi and Yun Feiyang. Although Ling Xiao's sword essence was powerful, his martial arts technique was far inferior to Xiao Qiqi and Lin Feiyang's. What Chun Yuan said was right. However, did a high-level martial arts technique mean a powerful attack? Not necessarily. The martial artist's own strength was the key. If a martial artist was strong enough, then even the most ordinary moves could be turned into something magical in his hands. Lin Geng hoped so. Therefore, he stared at Ling Xiao, trying to see through him. The sword energy stirred the wind and clouds. The sword essence shocked everyone. The 9 demonic dragon sun swords began to spin wildly and finally shot out at the same time. Every sword light contained a terrifying amount of energy. Rumble. A terrifying collision sound came from above the demon envoy statue. The powerful energy radiation sent many martial artists flying. The 72 demon envoys did not move at all, but their clothes fluttered under the sword wind. Their skin felt like it was being cut. What a powerful sword energy! He could actually make me feel a trace of threat. If it wasn't a demon envoy statue standing there, but a martial artist at the first turn of the Yin-Yang state's 15th level of hell, I'm afraid he would have been smashed into pieces. Lin Geng's heart trembled. He had never seen such a powerful inner disciple. However, he did not know. Ling Xiao had not used all his strength. Otherwise, the attack would be even more terrifying. What he was doing now was suppressing Lin Feiyang and Xiao Qiqi. The rumbling sound finally stopped. The vibrating energy finally dissipated. Everyone stared at Ling Xiao. It was as if they were not looking at a person, but a monster. Lin Feiyang was trembling all over. He could not understand. He could not accept it. How could a martial artist at the first turn of the Yin-Yang state's 14th level of hell unleash a more terrifying attack than him? Big Brother is really powerful. That's great. Compared to Lin Feiyang's ashen face, Xiao Qiqi was extremely excited. Although she didn't know what Ling Xiao's cultivation was like, her martial soul had told her that Ling Xiao was definitely not ordinary. Reality had proven this point. Not only was Ling Xiao's soul force incomparably powerful, but his attack power was also astonishing. After the attack, Ling Xiao cancelled his beast soul transformation and put away the demon dragon sword. He looked at Lin Feiyang with a faint smile. At this time, the surrounding people had already let out earth-shattering cheers. Previously, they were still a little jealous of Ling Xiao. They believed that Ling Xiao was a soul race martial artist so he had taken the lead in the first round. There was nothing amazing about that. But now, they no longer had any thoughts of jealousy. If you were jealous of someone, you would think that you could do better than that person. However, Ling Xiao's performance made them despair. They couldn't feel any jealousy at all. Strong. Too strong. How could there be such a monster? Among the 72 demon envoys, except for Qin Yuan and Lin Xian, who had already left, probably all had a kind of admiration and emotion for Ling Xiao. Good boy, his soul force is first. Now his attack power is obviously first too. Lin Feiyang used a peak soldier level martial art technique, but it couldn't compare to his advanced soldier level martial art technique. This shows that his talent in martial arts is probably stronger than Lin Feiyang's. What he lacks is a good set of martial arts techniques. Yes, it's a pity that he just broke through the first transformation of Yin-Yang realm at the age of 16. His cultivation talent is a little lacking. Otherwise, he would be a perfect genius. That's not necessarily true. He came from a small place. The cultivation resources are not as good as Lin Feiyang's. Under the same conditions, he might surpass Lin Feiyang. Lin Gang said, Lin Gang, you're wrong. He is a martial artist who has reincarnated. You should know that reincarnation is determined by one's talent. If his talent is good enough, he won't be reincarnated to a small place. Instead, he will be like Lin Feiyang, one of the 9 Supremes. Qin Yuan was slapped in the face. He was even more displeased with Ling Xiao. As long as it was something that could criticize Ling Xiao, he would not let it go. That's true. Lin Gang could not refute this reason. He did not know that Ling Xiao's first reincarnation had appeared in Yuhua Town because of the guidance of the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. It was to let him experience hardships. Otherwise, with Ling Xiao's talent, he would have been reincarnated into the Palace of Eternal Life. However, in that case, Ling Xiao would have many opportunities to train. This was very detrimental to the healthy growth of the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. After all, it was easy to go from frugality to extravagance, but difficult to go from extravagance to frugality. How could he understand the hardships of cultivation when he was already in a high position? However, Ling Xiao did not care about what Qin Yuan said. He was the clearest about his own talent. Why should he let others know? It was fine as long as he showed enough ability to attract people. All right, the second round ends here. The champion should be clear, Lin Gang suddenly announced. In his opinion, no matter if it was Ling Xiao, Xiao Qiqi, or Lin Feiyang, they had all used their strongest attacks. No one would be able to activate the next demonic envoy sculptures. Rather than wasting time, it was better to end it here. However, Ling Xiao did not agree. This was because he could feel that every time he activated a demonic envoy sculpture, his sea of cultivation would increase a little. This was even faster than the increase during a normal battle. Moreover, even if he could not completely absorb the energy would be stored in his cells and become his potential again. This was no longer a simple test. It was cultivation. How could he easily stop a cultivation that was very beneficial to his cultivation? Demonic envoy Lin Gang, can we continue? Ling Xiao asked. You still have strength left? Lin Gang asked curiously. Strength left. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I don't dare to hide it from you, demonic envoy. The reason why I used all my strength just now was to prove my attack power. In fact, I only activated 13 sculptures. I don't need to use so much strength. Same for Qiqi. Qiqi can continue too, Xiao Qiqi hurriedly said. Me too. Lin Feiyang gritted his teeth. How could he admit defeat? Absolutely not. All right then, you guys continue. Lin Gang could not violate the rules. He could only let them continue. However, when Lin Feiyang activated the 14th demonic envoy sculpture, he failed. He failed in a straightforward manner. After that, he could only watch helplessly as Xiao Qiqi and Ling Xiao broke the record. They continued to break the record. No one said anything. They just watched quietly. In the end, Xiao Qiqi activated 32 demonic envoy sculptures. She had far surpassed Lin Feiyang and the previous record. Ling Xiao was even more terrifying. Even after Xiao Qiqi had stopped, he continued. When it came to the last sculpture, he took a deep breath and stopped there. He began to prepare. The difficulty of the last sculpture was as high as the difficulty of the previous 71 sculptures combined. Chapter 2960. Do you guys think that this kid can really activate the 72 sculptures? Among the demon envoys, some started to lose their composure. It's very difficult. The difficulty of activating the last sculpture is the sum of the previous 71 sculptures. Even a martial artist at the peak of the 15th level of hell in Yin Yang realm can't do it. There's only one person who can do it. Who? Have you forgotten? It's that genius, the real genius, the son of the demon lord, Emperor Lan Mei-chin. When he was 16 years old, he reached the peak of the 15th level of hell in Yin Yang realm and activated all 72 sculptures. He became the only one who could activate all the sculptures at the 15th level of hell. Emperor Lan Mei-chin, his cultivation must have reached the 17th level of hell in Yin Yang realm. Yes, that's why he's a genius. He's not even 20 years old. But if Ling Xiao can do it today, wouldn't it be even scarier? Yes, but it's very difficult. No one dared to say it was impossible. Ling Xiao created one miracle after another. Many people were slapped in the face. At this point, who dared to doubt his ability? He stood in front of the last sculpture and heard the demon envoy's discussion. Emperor Lan Mei-chin, a martial artist at the 17th level of hell in Yin Yang realm before 20 years old? That's my goal now. As for Lin Feiyang, he's not even worth mentioning. Ling Xiao wanted to surpass Emperor Lan Mei-chin because he didn't want to waste time here. The transformation was completed again. It was still the Overlord, Blood, Demonic Dragon, Beast Soul transformation. Because this Beast Soul transformation boosted the Demonic Dragon, soared the most. However, at the same time, the rest of the Beast Souls appeared behind him. The Demonic Dragon Sword was also infused with the Sky Dragon power, Godly Phoenix power, and White Tiger power of the Overlord Martial Soul. Not only that, he also used the Demonic Dragon Possession. He could feel the difficulty of this last step, so he had to use his strongest ability. Of course, the Overlord Martial Soul couldn't be exposed easily. Boom! The terrifying aura exploded again, stronger and scarier than before. Oh my god, the last time wasn't even his limit. This brat actually has so many beast souls. Could it be that he is not a beast warrior, but a legendary beast god warrior? F***CK, did he really break Lan Mei-chin's record as well? The demon envoys were also very nervous. If Ling Xiao really broke Emperor Lan Mei-chin's record, it would be too heaven-defying. At the moment when they were extremely nervous, the attack finally erupted. There was no suspense. The 72nd ball of light appeared above Ling Xiao's head. He had completely activated the Demoness sculpture. He had created a miracle that no one had ever done before. The champion was about to be announced. This was not only the championship, but also a new record. Lin Feiyang was completely paralyzed. His face was ashen, like a man who was about to die in despair. Soon, a terrifying murderous aura gathered in his body. This caused his eyes to turn blood red. Die! Go to hell! Die! He kept calling out in his heart. The second stage was over, and the third stage was a real battle. He believed that he would definitely be able to meet Ling Xiao. No matter what method he used, he would kill Ling Xiao. Even if it was against the rules, he did not care. You don't have to be so angry, and you don't have to look at me like that. Because, from the beginning, I didn't treat you as an opponent at all. Ling Xiao passed by Lin Feiyang, and when he was celebrating with Xiao Qiqi, he said this indifferently. This sentence made Lin Feiyang even more determined to kill Ling Xiao. He had always looked down on Ling Xiao, despised Ling Xiao. But in the end, he lost to Ling Xiao in 2 consecutive stages. The words he said, the things he did, all became his humiliation. He had become a laughingstock. If it were not for the fact that some people were afraid of his family background and his sister, they would have laughed like crazy by now. The second stage is over. Ling Xiao is the champion and broke 2 records, so he will be rewarded with 1 million mid-grade spirit stones. Lin Gung's voice sounded. Lin Feiyang felt as if he was about to explode in an instant. Even he cared about the 1 million mid-grade spirit stones very much. Moreover, Ling Xiao had defeated him twice in a row. This made him on the verge of exploding. If it were not for the fact that there were so many demon envoys here, he might have already made his move. Compared to Ling Xiao, he also had his own advantages, such as treasures and martial arts. These were the key to determining the outcome. After the award ceremony, Lin Gung announced the list of people who had advanced to the last stage. There were a total of 1,000 people. The list was read from the back to the front. Those who heard their names jumped excitedly. As for those martial artists who didn't hear their names but knew their own results, they were already disheartened. This was the cruel reality. Out of more than 10,000 people, only 1,000 people could enter. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, appeared very calm. The reason he came to the 9 Supremes was to improve his strength, then pass through the Forbidden Land of Death and go to the 4 major regions to find the Moon Lady. Joining the Devil Dragon Sword Court was only the first step. He sat there and began to cultivate with his legs crossed. Most of the 72 masses of energy that he had just obtained were integrated into his cells and turned into potential. There was also a portion that filled his cultivation sea, directly increasing the energy in his cultivation sea to 50%. He was close to breaking through to the next realm. What he needed to do now was to consolidate his cultivation sea. Anyway, the results of the second stage were obvious. No one could erase it, so he was not afraid of anything. Sure enough, in the end, his name also appeared on the list. He got first place in the second stage, and no one doubted it. No one doubted it. After all, the 72 sculptures were activated by him. Xiao Qiqi got second place. Lin Feiyang, who was very arrogant and looked down on everyone before, only got third place. Although this result was already very good, to Lin Feiyang it was a humiliation. A huge humiliation. He was actually surpassed and crushed by the guy he looked down on. That feeling was as uncomfortable as eating feces. Ling Xiao, just you wait. In the last stage, I'll show you what's good for you. The third stage of the assessment is a battle. It depends on one's overall ability. Even if you're very good at a certain aspect, it's useless. I'll definitely defeat you and take Xiao Qiqi away from you. Lin Feiyang challenged Ling Xiao. Whatever you say. Anyway, you've lost twice, so you probably won't care about losing a third time. Don't worry, I'll defeat you. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Shameless boasting. Lin Feiyang gritted his teeth and did not say anything more. He turned and left because he knew very well that no matter what he said now, it would be misunderstood as a sore loser who was not convinced. Chapter 2961. After the end of the second round, Lin Gung led the 1,000 warriors to the floating battlefield of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. The so-called floating battlefield was a huge rock floating in the air. The rock covered an area of nearly 1,000 acres. Because there were various special arrays on it, it was able to float in the air. Seeing such a battlefield, everyone's heart was filled with excitement. Such a strange floating battlefield was definitely not something that could be seen in a small country. It had never been seen in the Heavenly Dragon Continent, Divine Phoenix Continent, and White Tiger Continent. Around the floating battlefield, there were audience seats. Although there was no one there at the moment, there would be a lot of audience after the assessment began. This was not something the examinees should be worried about. What they were most concerned about was the rules of the third round. During the rest time, Lin Gung briefly introduced the rules of the third round. In fact, it was very simple. 1,000 warriors would enter the floating battlefield at the same time and engage in a chaotic battle. The battle would last for 2 hours. After 2 hours, there would be less than 100 people left on the floating battlefield. Otherwise, everyone would be eliminated. If the condition of less than 100 people was met, then these people would become official disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. Moreover, In this round, weapons, elixirs, and other auxiliary items were not allowed. The Devil Dragon Sword Court did this to make the conditions as fair as possible. Otherwise, if some people relied on magic weapons or elixirs to win, they would not be the disciples they wanted. Ha 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 ha, Ling Xiao, your good luck has finally come to an end. Hearing such a rule, the happiest person was Lin Feiyang. Although he was a warrior of the Sword Dynasty, he was not good at using weapons. Instead, he was famous for his palm techniques. Therefore, the rules of the last round did not affect him much. However, Ling Xiao was different. Ling Xiao was obviously good at using swords. This rule had a great impact on Ling Xiao. Lin Feiyang did not believe that Ling Xiao could win against him without a weapon. Ling Xiao looked at this idiot and sneered disdainfully. Not being able to use a sword would indeed have a great impact on him. But so what? Lin Feiyang was still not his opponent. He was incomparably convinced of this. In addition, I want to tell you one more thing. After selecting 100 disciples, the 13 devil generals would then select 13 of them to become their disciples. The rules were still the same. 100 people continued to fight, leaving only 13 people. These 13 people would receive personal guidance from the 13 demon generals and become core disciples of the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Cultivation is bound to progress by leaps and bounds, so all of you have to work hard. In addition, after the 13 people were decided, the final champion would be decided. Of course, the principle was still the same. The last person left on the floating battlefield would be the champion. The champion will be rewarded with 1 million mid-grade spirit stones and a martial technique at the peak of the soldier level. Lin Geng's words instantly aroused Ling Xiao's desire to fight. It was a martial technique at the peak of the soldier level. This was something he had always dreamed of. Even though he could defeat Lin Feiyang with a high-level soldier-level martial technique, he was still not strong enough. However, if one could obtain a better martial skill, who would be willing to choose a worse one? What's more, if one's strength was equal, then martial techniques would be too important. I must win the championship. Ling Xiao made up his mind. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours of rest time had passed. 1,000 participants had all boarded the floating battlefield. At this time, the audience had also arrived. Except for some demon dragon sword court disciples and demon envoys who came to observe, all the 13 demon generals had arrived. They had come here to choose their disciples. Among the last 13 people, they would choose the one they liked the most. Subordinate and 1,000 participants pay our respects to the 13 demon generals. Lin Geng said humbly as he knelt on one knee in front of the stands where the 13 demon generals were sitting. Greetings to the 13 demon generals. The rest of the people also knelt on one knee. Although Ling Xiao was arrogant, the 13 demon generals were indeed stronger than him. As a courtesy, there was nothing shameful about kneeling on one knee. Therefore, he showed enough respect, like the others. People could only grow if they were in awe. Well, get up. Lin Geng, you don't have to worry about us. Just let them do their best. The first demon general was also the strongest among the 13 demon generals. Since the demon lord didn't come today, he spoke on his behalf. The rest of the demon generals had to obey. Yes, Lin Geng nodded and then stood up. The rest of the people also stood up. Do you have any other questions? Lin Geng looked at the time. There were less than 3 minutes left before the third stage began. Can we kill? Lin Feiyang asked. This was what this guy was most concerned about. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao, but he didn't want to violate the rules. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to enter the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Even if his sister Lin Xian was a demon envoy, the rules were set by the Demon Lord. Who would dare to violate them? Yes. So, if anyone feels that they are not strong enough or afraid of death, they can take the initiative to admit defeat or jump off the floating battlefield. Lin Geng replied. Very good. Lin Feiyang glared at Ling Xiao, revealing a bit of indifference. How do we lose? Ling Xiao also raised a question. He couldn't start a massacre on the stage, right? He had no enmity with these people except for Lin Feiyong. Once you are knocked off the floating battlefield, you lose. Remember, knocking your opponent off the floating battlefield is the only way to defeat your opponent. It's useless to stun or kill them. Even if you can fly, leaving the battlefield in the air is also a loss. Although Lin Gang didn't say much, his words were very clear. Do you all understand? Understood. Good, let the battle begin. Lin Gang left the battlefield, went to the spectator stand, and then announced the start of the battle. The battle royale was a very cruel rule. Ling Xiao had encountered it when he was in the dragon cult. The situation this time was basically the same. At the beginning, many people still maintained restraint, but there were always people who couldn't endure it. As the first person made a move, the battle instantly broke out. The entire floating battlefield began to fall into chaos. All kinds of roars and screams rose and fell one after another. Out of 1,000 people, only 100 could pass the test. So, it was very difficult to defeat others while maintaining one's combat strength. After all, they couldn't take pills. This had a very high requirement for the martial artist's combat strength. Even Ling Xiao couldn't help but admire the demon dragon sword court's move. It was too great. The martial artists selected in this way were bound to be people with real ability. It was basically impossible for there to be people who took advantage of the situation. After the first person was knocked off the floating battlefield, the number of people eliminated gradually increased. Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi stayed together. The two of them were not in a hurry to make a move. Anyway, no one dared to provoke them. Chapter 2962. Between Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi, one was the champion of the first 2 rounds, and the other had the highest cultivation among the disciples. With the two of them working together, who would dare to touch them? Even Lin Feiyong. Although he was very angry before, he did not rashly attack Ling Xiao at the beginning of the battle. He also chose to observe for the time being. Even if the 3 strongest warriors did not make a move, the battlefield was still chaotic. The battle was also very intense. However, so far no warrior had died. After all, no matter how great the benefits of joining the Devil Dragon Sword Court were, it was not as good as staying alive. Therefore, when some warriors saw that the situation was not right, they would take the initiative to jump off the floating battlefield to save their lives. Why didn't anyone attack that kid? The 13 Demon General asked Lin Gang curiously. I can understand Lin Feiyong and that little girl. After all, their cultivation is high, but what's so great about that kid? Reporting to the 13 Demon General, that kid is called Ling Xiao. He is the champion of the first 2 rounds. Moreover, he broke all the records. He even broke young Master Lan Mei Chen's record with his cultivation at the early stage of the 14th level of Hell, activating all 72 demon envoy sculptures. Lin Gang answered, He's so powerful. The 13 Demon General was shocked. The other Demon Generals also heard Lin Gang's words and looked at Ling Xiao. This made Ling Xiao, who was chatting with Xiao Qiqi, suddenly feel a burst of thorns in his back. Those Demon Generals were all powerhouses at the 17th level of Hell in the first round of Yinyang. Any one of them could easily crush Ling Xiao. Of course, their auras were also very powerful. It really made Ling Xiao feel a lot of pressure. However, this kind of pressure quickly disappeared. It seemed that all the Demon Generals had a simple judgment of him. Because the battle was very intense, there were only 100 people left on the floating battlefield before 2 hours had passed. Therefore, Lin Gang announced in advance that the competition would be suspended. These 100 people would officially become disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. In fact, other than Ling Xiao, Xiao Qiqi, and Lin Feiyong, the rest of the people were cheering and jumping for joy. Moreover, all of them looked very tired. It could not be helped. Ling Xiao, Xiao Qiqi, and Lin Feiyong had advanced to the next round without even fighting. The 3 of them were too strong, far stronger than the others. Whoever provoked them was purely looking for a beating. But no matter what, The top 100 out of more than 300,000 people had finally been decided. Ling Xiao could be considered to have achieved the most basic goal. However, this was definitely not enough to satisfy him. Soon, someone registered the names of the last 100 people. Then, Lin Gang said in a clear voice, "Next, we will decide the personal disciple of the 13 demon generals." What needed to be said was that the following battle would be even more brutal than before, and the possibility of losing one's life would also be greater. If he wasn't confident in himself, he could choose to give up. Even if you give up, you are still disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. After all, strategic abandonment is also a choice. His voice fell, but no one chose to give up. The people who came here all harbored the goal of becoming a Devil General's disciple. How could he give up so easily? All right, since no one has given up, let the battle continue. Lin Gang stopped talking nonsense and immediately announced the start of the battle. "Big brother, are we going to sit here until the end of the competition again?" Xiao Qiqi felt a little bored. She also wanted to fight and play. "I'm afraid it won't be that easy." Ling Xiao could feel the enmity of those martial artists who stayed behind. They did not dare to fight Lin Feiyang because Lin Feiyang was backed by Demon Envoy Lin Xian and Demon Envoy Qin Yuan. So, they wanted to get rid of Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi first. Of course, one-on-one would not work. But what if a group of people joined forces? One had to know that among them there were warriors in the late stage and peak stage of the yin-yang, first transformation state. With dozens of people joining forces, would they still be afraid that they could not defeat Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi? Of course, there was another reason why they attacked these two people, and that was external factors. These people had already become disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. Among the remaining 100 people, their combat power was relatively weak. They had no hope of entering the top 13. Coincidentally, at this moment, someone found them and secretly promised that as long as they could injure Ling Xiao, they would be rewarded with a sum of mid-grade spirit stones. How could they refuse such a good deal? As for Xiao Qiqi, she was just a bystander. If Xiao Qiqi did not attack them, they would not take the initiative to attack Xiao Qiqi. Go! Dozens of people exchanged glances and then pounced on Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi at the same time. "Big brother, leave it to me. You just need to rest." Xiao Qiqi was already impatient. When she saw so many people attacking together, she was not afraid. Instead, she showed a happy expression. She wanted Ling Xiao to not fight with her. "Do whatever you want." Ling Xiao waved his hand. He was not interested in fighting trash. Since Xiao Qiqi liked it, he would let her deal with those people. He also understood Xiao Qiqi's good intentions. She must be afraid that Lin Feiyang would take the opportunity to attack him. Although her worry was unnecessary, he still appreciated her good intentions. Xiao Qiqi's strength was indeed terrifying. One person against dozens of people, and she was not at a disadvantage at all. Her small body was like a nimble rabbit as she moved among the crowd. She seemed to know many different martial arts techniques, but he could not tell which clan or sect she came from. They were all relatively common martial arts techniques. In just 20 minutes, he had sent all 82 people flying out of the floating battlefield. At this time, there were 18 people left on the floating battlefield. There were still 5 more people to go before he reached 13. "I've taken a fancy to that little girl. Don't fight with me," the first demon general said excitedly. He had never seen such a genius before. She was only 11 or 12 years old and had such terrifying combat strength. Her talent could be imagined. "Boss, you're too shameless. You've taken all the good ones. What should we do?" The second demon general smiled bitterly. "Aren't there others? Anyway, I can only pick one. What are you afraid of?" The first demon general said indifferently. He had taken a fancy to this little girl. "Then I'll take Lin Feiyang. The children of the Lin family are quite talented." The second demon general thought for a while. Just as they were discussing, another 4 people were eliminated. There were only 14 people left on the battlefield. there was one more person. Ling Xiao, do you have the guts to fight me one-on-one? Lin Feiyang finally could not bear it anymore. If he attacked now, he would not have to worry about being ambushed, because whether he lost or Ling Xiao lost, the 13 people had been decided. Do you hate me that much? You don't even plan to let me enter the 13th place? Ling Xiao asked. That's right. You took away what should have been mine. I must get it back. Lin Feiyang said loudly. Chapter 2963. Big brother, let Chi-Chi fight him. Xiao Chi-Chi clenched her fists and said. She seemed to be enjoying herself just now. Humph, Ling Xiao, do you only know how to hide behind a woman? Lin Feiyang did not want to fight Xiao Chi-Chi. It would be embarrassing if he lost, and even more embarrassing if he won. His reputation for bullying little girls would not be good if word got out. Moreover, he could not bear to. He wanted to snatch Xiao Chi-Chi away from Ling Xiao and make her his future wife. How could he bear to fight? Chi-Chi, you've been playing for so long just now. Let me have some fun too. Ling Xiao ignored Lin Feiyang and patted Xiao Chi-Chi's head instead. All right then, I'll cheer for Big Brother from the side. Xiao Chi-Chi nodded obediently. That's right. Speaking of this, Ling Xiao looked at Lin Feiyang again. Speaking of which, although the two of them were about the same age, Lin Feiyang was just a little kid who did not know anything about the world in his eyes. Not to mention that his cultivation was only at the peak of the 14th level of hell in the first transformation of the yin-yang state. Even if he was at the early 15th level, he could still be played to death by this little kid. After all, whether it was in terms of experience, the gap between them was too big. Ling Xiao walked out of the Tianlong continent step by step and experienced a lot of hardships during that time. On the other hand, whether it was before or after reincarnating, Lin Feiyang was a tyrant in a big family. He was backed by a mountain and was like a flower in a greenhouse. How could he compare to him? In the first stage, Lin Feiyang tried to use others to kill him. Now he wanted to kill him personally. Since he wanted him to die so badly, he would let this kid die first, including the other 12 people on the floating battlefield, including all the spectators in the stands. Everyone's eyes were focused on the two of them. The 13 spots were about to be decided. The last spot was either Ling Xiao or Lin Feiyang. It could not be given to anyone else. These two guys had performed very well in the first 2 stages. Even in the 3rd stage, they were fierce characters that no one dared to provoke. Now that they were finally going to fight, how could it not attract attention? Even the 13 devil generals were paying attention to this battle. On one hand, he wanted to see how outstanding Lin Feiyang was. On the other hand, he wanted to know what abilities Ling Xiao had to be able to win the first 2 rounds and even break Lan Meichen's record. Let's see how you'll defeat me without a weapon. Of course, Lin Feiyang also knew that Ling Xiao was strong. If Ling Xiao used a sword, he really didn't have the confidence to win. But now, the situation was in his favor, because he couldn't use any magic treasures. This included weapons. Why would I need a weapon to defeat you? Ling Xiao looked at Lin Feiyang calmly. This time, he didn't use his demonic tyrant blood dragon martial soul transformation. Instead, he used his purple lightning bull beast soul transformation. The power of the purple lightning thunderbull was extremely useful in hand-to-hand combat. The lightning released could also increase the attack power. Arrogant! Lin Feiyang roared. Then he turned into an afterimage. His hands turned red as he pounced towards Ling Xiao. One had to admit that he was very fast. He should be using a movement technique at the peak of the soldier level. Ling Xiao could only use his demonic dragon phantom movement technique to avoid it. It's a waste to use a martial art at the peak of the soldier level on a kid like you. Ling Xiao was quite disdainful of Lin Feiyang. If he were to use the same martial art, the effect would be at least 10 times better. Nonsense. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Lin Feiyang was furious. Although his attack didn't hit Ling Xiao, he quickly condensed his next attack. Golden light kept flashing on his hands. It had already taken over the entire floating battlefield. Golden light was everywhere, and the sound of explosions could be heard everywhere. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, kept dodging like a ghost. "Do you really think you can be faster than me?" Lin Feiyong sneered. His speed suddenly increased. In an instant, his terrifying palms were in front of Ling Xiao. Then he slapped down hard. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. "He's not dead, is he?" After being hit by the golden crow palm, even if he doesn't die, he will be half crippled. This Ling Xiao is indeed a useless spearhead. He doesn't have any skills. He was just lucky in the first 2 rounds. The battle had just begun, but there were already people talking about it. However, the 13 devil generals didn't say anything. As smart as they were, they naturally knew that the battle wasn't over yet. After the smoke dispersed, Ling Xiao appeared in front of everyone in one piece. There was even a faint smile on his face. "Is this your strongest attack?" There was a hint of mockery in his voice. "If you don't have a stronger attack, then this battle should be over. Damn it, don't look down on me." Lin Feiyong really didn't have any stronger attacks. The golden crow palm was his strongest martial art technique at the moment, and when he attacked Ling Xiao just now, he didn't show any mercy. Seeing that Ling Xiao was basically unscathed, he actually felt a chill in his heart. "So what if I look down on you? In front of me, it's meaningless even if you use all your strength." Ling Xiao said disdainfully. "Damn it, go to hell, go to hell." Lin Feiyong's anger had reached its peak. No one had ever dared to humiliate him like this. At this moment, he didn't care about the rules anymore. He actually took out a pill from his storage ring and swallowed it. At that moment, a scarlet light appeared around his body. Even his skin seemed to have turned fiery red. The golden light martial soul that was originally floating behind him suddenly cracked and turned into a scarlet fire bird. "Big bad guy, he broke the rules." Xiao Qiqi shouted in dissatisfaction. "Judge, quickly eliminate him." Lin Geng came back to his senses and was about to announce Lin Feiyong's elimination, but he was stopped by the 13 devil generals in the stands. "It's a pity to end such a good battle like this. How about this? Ling Xiao can also use a pill. It's not against the rules. This way, isn't it fair?" The 13 devil generals' words sounded very reasonable, but in fact they were nonsense. The pill that Lin Feiyong took was obviously a pill that strengthened his martial soul and increased his combat power. Ling Xiao was a martial artist from a remote place. How could he have such a good pill? However, Lin Geng didn't dare to disobey his words. The other devil generals didn't say anything either. Therefore, this battle had to continue. Lin Feiyong sneered ferociously. "Ling Xiao, your end is here. Today I want you to die. Golden Crow Palm, evolve. Destructive Palm, die." In the midst of his angry roar, Lin Feiyong's whole body turned into a blazing flame and rushed toward Ling Xiao crazily. The terrifying heat forced the spectating martial artists to stand at the edge of the floating battlefield. Only Xiao Qiqi was still there, watching the scene nervously. "Big bad guy. You're all big bad guys, bullying Big Brother." Chapter 2964. Silly girl, why are you crying? Even if someone is on his side, it's useless. This kind of trash is not my opponent at all. Ling Zhao's voice sounded in Xiao Qiqi's ears. The little girl finally smiled through her tears. "Humph, you still have the mood to chat with her while fighting me. You're courting death." The anger on Lin Feiyong's face became even more intense. Finally, the terrifying palm power wrapped around Ling Zhao's body. The blazing light and flames intertwined and exploded crazily on Ling Zhao's body. At that moment, Ling Zhao's aura completely disappeared. This time he should really be dead. The 13th devil general laughed. He was killed under such fair conditions. There's nothing he can do. He's not as strong as Lin Feiyong. Everyone knew that the 13th devil general's words were like farts. No one was willing to refute him. The other devil generals had to give him face. As for the others, they did not dare to refute. It was not worth it for Ling Xiao. However, before the 13th Devil General's voice fell, another voice sounded. Fair? Bush * T. This voice came from the terrifying golden flames. It was Ling Xiao's voice. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and all the golden light and flames suddenly disappeared. Then he raised his right hand, and a cold sword intent bloomed from his fingertips. Cold and austere. Die. He had given Lin Feiyong many chances, but this kid did not know what was good for him and kept pushing him. Even a clay figurine had a temper. Not to mention that Ling Xiao was the kind of person who did not want to endure. A sword light spat out from his fingertips at an extremely fast speed. Although it was not a great martial art, Lin Feiyong had no chance to react at such a distance. It was too late to escape. He could only watch in horror as the sword light attacked him. The anger in his heart completely turned into fear in an instant. His pants were instantly wet. He was going to die. He had never encountered such a situation since he entered the world of reincarnation. He came to the Devil Dragon Sword Court and was ready to show off his talent and ambition, but he was going to die? And he was going to die in the hands of such an unknown person. He was terrified and unwilling to accept this outcome. He hoped that this was a dream. However, the sharp sword light had already cut through his skin. He could feel the pain. He believed that the moment this sword light pierced him, it would be the moment of his death. Sister, save me! He could only shout towards the crowd, hoping that his sister Lin Xian was here. Only then could he be saved. Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all. So what if he killed someone who had tried to kill him time and time again? It wasn't like he hadn't done something like this before. Worst comes to worst, I'll just wander around the Jianghu again. It's not like I have to come to the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Even if the Dragon Turtle was no longer in the Demon Dragon Sword Court, there were still ways to obtain it. However, at this moment, a terrifying power descended on the floating battlefield. Then, Ling Xiao felt a terrifying power sweep over him. He couldn't control his body at all and was sent flying out of the floating battlefield. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing the void red. This sudden attack was not only powerful, but it was also clearly intended to kill him. If it wasn't for his strong physical body, he would have been dead by now. Big brother! Seeing this, Xiao Qiqi rushed out and finally stopped Ling Xiao. The two of them almost fell off the floating battlefield together. The little girl was also bleeding from the corner of her mouth because of the terrifying impact. She had obviously suffered internal injuries. Which dog? Ling Xiao was furious. He stood up. This injury was not enough to cause too much harm to him. However, what he absolutely could not tolerate was that even the cute little girl was injured. Xiao Qiqi's physical body was not as strong as his. Her little face was pale and her lips were trembling. Ling Xiao then gave a healing pill to Xiao Qiqi before looking at the culprit. Standing there was a middle-aged man in black armor. Who else could it be but the 13 demon generals? Not only did he save Lin Feiyong, but he also almost killed Ling Xiao. Who are you calling a dog? The eyes of the 13 demon generals were cold. A terrifying aura rushed towards Ling Xiao. At that moment, Ling Xiao felt as if he was being pressed under a mountain. He could not even straighten his back. However, he still stood there, neither servile nor overbearing. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. You are that dog! Shameless old dog! You actually sneak attacked a disciple. You are a disgrace to the Devil Dragon Sword Court. I didn't expect the Devil Dragon Sword Court to have such a despicable person like you. It's really disappointing. Even when facing a martial artist at the early stage of the 17th level of hell, Ling Xiao did not have the slightest intention of tolerating him, because even if he tolerated him, it would be meaningless. He had never seen the 13 demon generals before, and it was impossible for them to have any grudges. However, this person was always going against him. Obviously, He had a special relationship with Lin Feiyong. The more he tolerated, the more he would be bullied. He had traveled through so many mountains and rivers and seen so many different kinds of martial artists. He had long understood this truth. Furthermore, Ling Xiao, was a person who would rather die standing than live on his knees. What's wrong with the 13? He has never done such a thing before. The entrance exam concerns the future of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. He can't do this. The second demon general looked at the first demon general and said, "Boss, why don't you persuade him? That guy only listens to you and the demon lord." "I can't persuade him, although the 13 is in the wrong. That kid called Ling Xiao is too straightforward." He even scolded him. "Let the 13 vent. At most, we will compensate that Ling Xiao." The first demon general sighed and said, "This concerns the sect. If the 13 wants to kill that Ling Xiao, I will stop him." The others also had opinions about the 13 demon generals' actions. Everyone could see that Ling Xiao had the advantage and could easily take down Lin Feiyong. However, the 13 demon generals interfered with the competition and injured Ling Xiao. Such actions were not the actions of a gentleman. Even so, no one dared to say anything. That was a demon general. Below the demon lord, demon generals were the strongest. Who would dare talk back to a demon general? "You are courting death." The 13 demon general originally thought that even if he interfered with the competition, Ling Xiao would only hold it in and not dare to say anything. However, he didn't expect that Ling Xiao would be so fearless. Even in front of him, he dared to speak bluntly. This put him in an awkward position. "Even if I die, I want to die knowing why. You are the dignified 13 demon generals. You saw that Lin Feiyong took a pill against the rules, but you stopped the referee from punishing him. I can tolerate this. But for Lin Feiyong, you actually interfered with the competition and almost killed me. I can't tolerate this." Chapter 2965. Today, they're not only your people in the Devil Dragon Sword Court. There are also seniors from other sects and Heavenly Sword Hall. You'd better explain this matter clearly. Otherwise, which genius will dare to join your Devil Dragon Sword Court in the future? Ling Xiao said loudly, completely grabbing the 13 demon generals' weak spot. Every word was heart-wrenching. The 13 demon general's face was very ugly. At this moment, he was really embarrassed. He originally thought that Ling Xiao wouldn't dare to say anything and would just save Lin Feiyong. Then the assessment would be over. But who would have thought that Ling Xiao was such an unruly guy? This kid's words make sense. When did the Devil Dragon Sword Court become so unbearable? Although the demon generals in the Devil Dragon Sword Court would give face to the 13 demon generals, even if they felt that his behavior was out of line, they wouldn't criticize him. But it was different for foreign experts. The one who spoke was from the Golden Phoenix Sword Palace. Although the Devil Dragon Sword Court and the Golden Phoenix Sword Palace weren't enemies, they were still competitors. He was invited to participate in the assessment and was worried that he couldn't find a chance to make fun of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. He didn't expect that the 13 demon generals would come knocking on his door. Others might be afraid of the demon generals, but he wasn't. The 13 demon generals' face was as black as the bottom of a pot. It was really hard to get off the tiger. Kill Ling Xiao? That would make him and the Devil Dragon Sword Court lose their trust with the Sword Dynasty. In the future, there would be an awkward situation where many geniuses wouldn't dare to come. At that time, the Demon Lord wouldn't spare him. Not kill Ling Xiao. What about his face? 13, this matter is indeed your fault. Just let it go. Let that kid named Ling Xiao advance. Lin Feiyong is obviously not his opponent. Finally, the first demon general spoke. They couldn't stay in a deadlock like this. Although the 13 demon generals would lose face, the Devil Dragon Sword Court's reputation wouldn't be damaged. The 13 demon generals gritted his teeth, secretly hating. But he didn't dare to disobey the first demon general's order. "Brat, just you wait. You'll have a good time in the future. You dare to go against me? Once you join the Demon Dragon Sword Court, it'll be your end." The 13 devil generals coldly glanced at Ling Xiao and then sent him a spiritual message, threatening him. Only then did they walk towards the stands. Wait! Just when everyone thought that this was the end, Ling Xiao's voice rang out again. "That kid is crazy. F***CK, everything was fine. What is he doing? Must he force the demon general to kill him?" Almost no one could believe that Ling Xiao would stop the 13 devil generals. Wasn't this courting death? "What? Do you have anything else to say?" The 13 demon generals turned around and said coldly, "Apologize." Ling Xiao looked at the 13 devil generals with an indifferent attitude. Today, he was going to teach all the demon generals a lesson. He was going to make an example out of them and let them understand that he, Ling Xiao, was not so easy to bully. He had to consider the consequences of casually making a move against him. He already had a complete plan. So what if the demon general was at the early stage of the 17th level of hell? He was indeed not a match for the demon general, but it was not impossible for him to kill the demon general. "What did you say?" The 13 devil generals asked again, as if they did not hear Ling Xiao's words clearly. "I asked you to apologize." Ling Xiao said, neither servile nor overbearing. "You interfered in the test between the new disciples without permission and almost killed me. Shouldn't you apologize? I think you're really tired of living." The 13 devil generals did not get angry. Instead, they laughed very happily. "Boss, you saw it too. I already planned to spare his life, but he was courting death himself. I believe that our Devil Dragon Sword Court does not need such a brainless pig. It's fine if I kill him, right?" He looked at the first demon general and asked. The first demon general was also a little angry. He had already stepped forward to mediate, but he did not expect Ling Xiao to go overboard. He even wanted the 13 devil generals to apologize. Would a demon general apologize to a new disciple? What a joke! "Up to you. I won't interfere in this matter." The first demon general waved his hand and said, "Hee, kid, you asked for it. You can't blame others." The corners of the 13 devil general's mouth curled into a cruel sneer. However, Ling Xiao did not seem to feel the terrifying killing intent at all. He just said, "If you dare to make a move, you can try. I guarantee that you will regret it for the rest of your life. I can kill you with one finger." After saying that, the 13 devil generals' figure suddenly flashed and instantly arrived beside Ling Xiao. He raised a finger and directly stabbed at Ling Xiao's forehead. He clearly wanted to kill Ling Xiao and had no intention of holding back. Seeing this scene, many people closed their eyes because they couldn't bear it. Ling Xiao's performance could be said to be outstanding, but he was too stubborn. What's wrong with lowering your head to a devil general, kneeling down and admitting defeat? Was it that difficult? But now he was going to die. Suddenly they heard a blood-curdling scream. They thought that it was Ling Xiao's scream before he died, but they felt that the sound was not quite right. They hurriedly looked up. They found that the arrogant and domineering 13 devil general was now engulfed in a raging fire. It kept burning. His body struggled, twisted and deformed in the fire. The smell of burnt flesh kept coming. 9 Dragon God Fire Shield. True Samadhi Fire. In the past, Ling Xiao could not directly use the divine fire in an attack because he lacked the necessary means. But the 9 Dragon God Fire Shield, which he had obtained from the Volcano Crown Prince, allowed him to directly use the divine fire in close-range combat, although it would consume almost half of his internal energy in an instant. Moreover, the hit rate was very worrying. But as long as it hit, even the Palace Lord of the Immortal Palace would not be able to withstand the power of the divine fire, let alone the 13 devil generals. The terror of the divine fire had nothing to do with one's strength. It was terrifying and powerful enough. He dared to challenge the 13 devil general because he had the confidence to do so. Of course, it was very dangerous to do so. This was because martial artists with high cultivation generally had a very keen sense of danger, and their reactions were also very agile. The stronger they were, the more so. It would be very difficult for Ling Zhao's divine fire to attack them. But today's luck seemed to be on Ling Zhao's side. The 13 Devil General underestimated the enemy and was arrogant, coupled with Ling Zhao's perfect control of his internal energy. This counterattack was created. In the divine fire, the 13 Devil General's aura became weaker and weaker. A moment later, he had completely turned into ashes, but his power was too strong. After merging with Ling Zhao's body, Ling Zhao could only absorb a small part of it. Most of it was stored in his cells and turned into potential dead. The 13 Devil General was killed by Ling Zhao. This scene caused everyone to fall into a complete daze. No one had expected such a thing to happen. No one expected it. Many people even thought that they were dreaming. Chapter 2966. Killing the 13 Demon Generals meant that Ling Zhao and the Demon Dragon Sword Court might become enemies. If he stayed here, he might be killed. Fortunately, before he came here, he had already set up a one-way teleportation gate dozens of miles away from here. As long as he used the array refining stone here, he could directly teleport away. Even the other demon generals couldn't catch up to him. In terms of escaping, it wasn't that he looked down on anyone, but there was really no one here who could compare to him. However, he didn't leave immediately because he still had a trace of hope. In fact, when the 13 demon generals were burned by the divine fire, he had already observed the demon generals' stands. The other 12 demon generals didn't have angry expressions. In an instant, they all rejoiced and felt happy. It seemed that the 13 demon generals were very unpopular. You actually killed him? The first demon general stood up and looked at Ling Zhao with shock and disbelief. That's right. I killed him because he wanted to kill me. Ling Zhao's answer was very concise. Do you know that killing him is equivalent to becoming enemies with the entire Demon Dragon Sword Court? The first demon general said again. Hearing his words, Ling Zhao knew that he might not have to escape. If the first demon general wanted to kill him, he definitely wouldn't ask these questions, let alone talk nonsense with him. Instead, he would directly take action and capture him. I believe that the despicable and shameless 13 demon generals can't represent the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Ling Zhao replied, Good, very good. Ha ha ha. In fact, ever since this 13 became a demon general, he didn't put us in his eyes and the rules of the Demon Dragon Sword Court in his eyes. He has always been running amok, causing the disciples to complain and the reputation of the Demon Dragon Sword Court to deteriorate. Well killed. Not only did you not kill him, but it was also very good. The first demon general suddenly laughed out loud. This guy was really hypocritical. When the 13 demon generals were alive, they clearly didn't think so. Now that the 13 demon generals were dead, he immediately attacked. After all, a dead person had no value. However, Ling Zhao was different. Although he used the divine fire to kill the 13 demon generals, it wasn't a normal attack. Perhaps he wouldn't succeed if he used it again. However, this was already quite impressive. If he was nurtured, he might be even more powerful than the 13 demon generals. The first devil general naturally hoped that Ling Zhao could replace the position of the 13th devil general. Just as he said, even the demon lord of the Demon Dragon Sword Court wanted to get rid of the 13 demon generals as soon as possible. However, due to his status, he was afraid that others would say that he killed a meritorious official, so he didn't make a move. Ling Zhao's actions were tantamount to helping the Devil Dragon Sword Court a great deal. He had eradicated this tumor. They couldn't be happier. Moreover, the more magnanimous they were, the more it showed the magnanimity and greatness of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. Ling Zhao analyzed all of this in an instant. It was precisely because of his thorough analysis that he knew that not only would he not die, but he would also be put in an important position, at least on the surface. Therefore, he had already relaxed. Sometimes having the value of being used was also the capital to survive. At this time, Lin Feiyang was already pissing and shitting his pants. He was frightened. Seeing the fate of the 13 demon generals, he had completely lost control and was crying like a madman. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would suddenly attack and kill him. However, he was worrying too much. For such a trash, Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered to make a move. Thank you for your praise, First Devil General. This junior only did what he should do. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said to the First Devil General, No need to be humble. You are indeed very outstanding. You are the most outstanding disciple in tens of thousands of years. I also believe that you will have a brilliant future. All right, Lin Gung, announce it. The First Devil General looked at Demon Envoy Lin Gung and said. At this time, Lin Gung was still in a daze. He originally thought that Ling Xiao was dead for sure. However, who would have thought that there would be such a huge reversal? Ling Xiao didn't die, but the 13 demon generals were dead. This was too shocking. Hearing the First Devil General's instructions, he came back to his senses and hurriedly announced, The 13 people left on the floating battlefield, other than Lin Feiyang, will be fortunate enough to become the personal disciple of the 13, no, 12 demon generals. As for which demon general's disciple you will become, it will depend on your luck. Next, we will continue the fight for first place. Big brother, I really didn't see wrongly. You are really too powerful. You actually burned that demon general to death. You scared Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi thought that she would never see you again. Xiao, Chi-Chi also came back to her senses at this time. She threw herself into Ling Xiao's arms and cried, Big brother is Chi-Chi's backer. How could you die so easily? Ling Xiao stroked her head and smiled. This little girl was really a little demoness who tormented people. While the two of them were talking and laughing, the other 11 people on the other side actually announced their forfeiture at the same time. Fight for first place with Ling Xiao? Were they crazy? Ling Xiao was someone who could even kill a demon general. Unless they were crazy, they wouldn't do that. Brother Ling, you are worthy of first place. We will voluntarily withdraw. After saying that, the 11 people all jumped off the floating battlefield. Actually, this result was within the expectations of many people. After all, Ling Xiao's performance was a bit too strong. Who would dare to make an enemy of him? Big brother, Chi-Chi also wants to go down. Anyway, Chi-Chi can't beat you. Besides, Chi-Chi doesn't want to fight with Big brother. After saying that, Xiao Chi-Chi wriggled out of Ling Xiao's embrace and happily jumped down from the floating battleground. On the battlefield, only Ling Xiao was left. All eyes were on him. He was in the dark. This dark horse, from the first to the third round, from being completely ignored to winning 3 times in a row, he had completely turned the tables. However, his cultivation was the weakest among the 300,000 contestants. This strange contrast made many people talk about it enthusiastically, and the name Ling Xiao had completely become the legend of the Demon Dragon Sword Court. The first person to break the record of 3 rounds in a row. The first person to kill a demon general in the early stage of the first transformation Yin-Yang Realm's 14th level of hell. The first person to kill a demon general and still live. He was just a poor boy from a remote village. But in the dignified Demon Dragon Sword Court, he set off a storm of miracles. This caused everyone to be shocked. The first step of a long journey. It's still early. When outsiders were shocked by the miracle he created, Ling Xiao's heart was very calm. He was very clear that his goal was not just this. The first place of a new disciple sounded good. But in the end, he was just a new disciple. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons among the 100,000 people in the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Countless people stronger than Ling Xiao began to pay attention to him. His future path would be more challenging. As for killing a demon general, it was not his true ability. Chapter 29:67. Ling Xiao knew very well that using the divine fire to kill people was a risky move. It wasn't safe, so he had to work harder to make himself stronger. He hoped that one day He could rely on his own ability to truly surpass the demon generals. All right, the Demon Dragon Sword Court's disciple selection is over. A total of 100 disciples will be recruited. 13 of them will directly become core disciples, becoming the personal disciples of the 12 demon generals. However, I have to remind you of something. A good start is half the battle, but if you don't perform well after becoming a demon general's disciple, you might be replaced by someone else. Ling Xiao completely agreed with demon envoy Lin Geng's words. Practicing martial arts was like sailing against the current. If you didn't advance, you would fall behind. Being in the lead now didn't mean that he would always be in the lead. Ling Xiao had many enemies who were stronger than him in the past, but he still caught up to them. Many people slacked off because they were satisfied with their current situation. Ling Xiao didn't want to make the same mistake. Next, the top 13 disciples will step forward and accept the selection of the 12 demon generals. As Lin Geng's voice fell, the 13 people, including Ling Xiao, stepped forward. They were somewhat excited. After all, becoming a demon general's disciple was much better than becoming an ordinary disciple. It could be said to be reaching the heavens in a single bound. This kind of good thing was rare. He suddenly caught a glimpse of a cold gaze staring at him from the crowd. He turned his head and saw that it was demon envoy Qin Yuan. At this moment, Qin Yuan was healing Lin Feiyang's injuries. His gaze towards Ling Xiao was filled with incomparably cold, killing intent. Lin Feiyang was already trash and wasn't a concern. However, this Qin Yuan and that Lin Xian were different. They weren't to be trifled with. However, what was Ling Xiao afraid of? If he was afraid of these two trash, how could he talk about going to the 4 major regions to marry the Moon Maiden? Now he was more concerned about the selection of disciples. Originally, each of the 13 demon generals was just right to choose one. In the end, the 13 demon generals were killed by Ling Xiao. What should he choose next? Among the 13 disciples, there was definitely a difference in talent. On the surface, the other 12 people were all more talented than Ling Xiao. This was because they were either the same age as Ling Xiao, younger than Ling Xiao, or older by 1 or 2 years. However, their cultivation levels were much higher than Ling Xiao's. They were all at the peak of the 14th level of hell in the first revolution of the Yin-Yang realm. As for Xiao Qiqi, she was even more amazing. She was an 11-year-old martial artist who had achieved the first transformation of the Yin-Yang realm and was at the 15th level of hell. No matter who it was, they all seemed to be more talented than Ling Xiao. But this was only on the surface. Ling Xiao's cultivation had only been delayed by the lack of cultivation resources, but his foundation had been even more solid. However, his cultivation foundation was the best among all of them. No one could compare to him. This was the advantage of being a martial artist from a small place. In fact, Ling Xiao didn't care which demon general selected him. As long as he could get the resources of the Demon Dragon Sword Court through the demon general, it would be enough. That was what he was after. According to the usual rules, the 13 devil generals would all be chosen from the strongest first devil general, starting from the weakest. Therefore, the order of the Demon Dragon Sword Court's 13 demon generals was often changed. Whoever was stronger would be ranked higher. This time it was the same. The first demon general chose Xiao Qiqi without hesitation. Although the other demon generals were unhappy, from the 2nd demon general to the 12th demon general, they still chose the disciple they wanted. In fact, among the remaining 13 people, other than Ling Xiao and Xiao Qiqi, there wasn't much difference between them. There was no problem with choosing anyone. Therefore, when the demon generals chose their disciples, they chose who was more pleasing to the eye. Only the first demon general's choice of Xiao Qiqi made the other demon generals drool. Big brother, your heavenly demon residence already has enough geniuses. You're the strongest among the 13 demon generals. Now that you've chosen such a genius, it's really enviable. But how are we going to catch up? The 2nd demon general said jealously. Ha ha ha. Second brother, don't mind it too much. The little guy you chose is also not bad. Moreover, disciples with good talent may not necessarily be able to achieve good results in the future. Such examples are not uncommon. The first demon general, who was also the heavenly demon general, laughed. This old guy laughed as if a flower had bloomed on his face. He was very proud. How could he not be happy? No matter how one looked at it, Xiao Qiqi was the most talented among the 13 people. Although the champion was Ling Xiao, Xiao Qiqi was more promising. Oh, right, the new 13 demon generals should be here, right? At this time, someone said, "Yes, our demon dragon sword court has always had a rule. After a demon general dies or betrays him, there will naturally be a deputy to succeed him. I've already informed the new 13 demon general, Chen Luo." The heavenly demon general nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, a person had already arrived. It was the former deputy of the 13 demon generals, Chen Luo. Chen Luo was younger than the previous 13 demon generals. His face was a little pale, as if his body wasn't very good. His strength was much weaker than the 13 demon generals. He was only a martial artist at the peak of the first transformation Yin-Yang realm's 16th level of hell. But compared to a demon envoy, he was much stronger. Chen Luo, you came at the right time. This Ling Xiao is the champion of 3 tests. In the future, he will be your disciple. Nurture him well. The first demon general looked at Chen Luo and said, Ling Xiao was actually a little depressed now. He was the champion of 3 tests and had broken several records. In the end, no one chose him. Instead, they threw him to the new, weakest 13 demon general, Chen Luo. It seemed that these demon generals really didn't think highly of his talent. Of course, it probably had something to do with him killing the 13 demon generals. No one was willing to accept such a person as a disciple. Accepting him was equivalent to completely offending the 13 demon generals. Although the 13 demon generals had a bad reputation, they still had a backer. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to occupy the position of demon general, and no one dared to eliminate them. Reporting to the first demon general, "Do I have the right to choose?" Chen Luo glanced at Ling Xiao with disdain and indifference. Then he looked at the heavenly demon general and said, "Of course, you have the right to choose. No one can force you to do this. It's just that I don't understand. Only Ling Xiao is left. Who else do you want to choose?" The heavenly demon general asked curiously. "Can I choose not to?" Chen Luo asked. This seems to be fine too. After all, a personal disciple is related to the future development of every demon general's residence. If you don't like it, you can choose not to choose. The heavenly demon general was stunned for a moment before nodding. "All right then, I will give up the right to choose the top 13. In my opinion, Ling Xiao's talent is much better than this Ling Xiao. Although I don't know how this Ling Xiao won the championship and broke the record, I don't like him. However, I don't like him, and I don't think highly of him either. I still choose Lin Feiyang as my disciple," Chen Luo said seriously. Chapter 2968. Oh, I didn't expect it to be like this. The second demon general slapped his thigh and immediately regretted it. One had to know that Lin Feiyang was the most talented person in the entire assessment besides Xiao Qiqi. If he had known it would be like this, he would have chosen Lin Feiyang instead of someone he didn't like. Regret so much. The other demon generals also regretted it. Ling Xiao was there, but they didn't have the slightest intention of choosing him. Instead, they missed out on Lin Feiyang. It could be seen that in their eyes, Lin Feiyang's future was still much better than Ling Xiao's. Ling Xiao's face was a little ugly. He didn't expect it to be like this. He didn't expect that there would be no one who could spot him. How ridiculous. Since no one chose me, I'll work hard. If one day I'll step on your heads, let's see if you still dare to look down on me. Originally, he planned to leave, but he didn't want to leave with his tail between his legs because he didn't want to admit defeat. He was the champion of 3 rounds, but he was reduced to the point where no one chose him. Countless people would definitely laugh at him behind his back. It was too cowardly to leave like this. He wanted to use his own strength to prove himself. Even if he was just an ordinary disciple of Demon Dragon Sword Court, he could still create a glorious future. Chun Yuan, bring Lin Feiyong here. Chun Luo looked at Chun Yuan and said, "Yes, third uncle." Chun Yuan sneered at Ling Xiao and walked toward Chun Luo. Ling Xiao finally understood what was going on when he heard this form of address. After all this time, Chun Luo was Chun Yuan's third uncle, and Chun Yuan was pursuing Lin Xian. How could they choose Ling Xiao? Naturally, they would choose Lin Feiyong. Lin Feiyong, are you willing to be the personal disciple of Chun Luo, the 13th Demon General? Chun Luo looked at Lin Feiyong and asked loudly. Lin Feiyong's eyes, which were originally like dead ashes, instantly became alive. Then it was full of surprise. "I'm willing." He wanted to take revenge, and he couldn't lack the guidance of a great master. Although Chun Luo's cultivation was not as good as the other 12 devil generals, he was just short of a breakthrough. Who knew he might catch up one day? Of course, the most important thing was that the 13 demon generals had the same treatment in terms of resources. As long as he became Chun Luo's personal disciple, he believed that with his talent, he would definitely be able to throw Ling Xiao far behind. He would have a greater chance of taking revenge in the future. Ha ha ha, good. Very good. I will be your master in the future. Today, you lost to that Ling Xiao only because you didn't grasp any fighting techniques. Your talent is far above his. I'm sure that you'll become one of the top disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court within a year at most. At that time, you'll be able to kill that Ling Xiao with just a finger. Chun Luo laughed out loud. The original 13 devil generals were his superiors. They treated him well, but they were killed by Ling Xiao. His disgust for Ling Xiao was not just a little bit. Did you hear that, Ling Xiao? So what if you're the champion? So what if you become the most outstanding new disciple in the world? In the end, you're still not as good as me. Without a good master, what can you use to compete with me? With your talent, I'm afraid that you won't be able to reach the 15th level of hell even if you cultivate by yourself for 10 years. You're a reporter. I'll deal with you later. Lin Feiyong, this guy, was really someone who would shine brightly if given a bit of sunlight. Being chosen by Chun Luo and the other demon generals, he was especially excited. He couldn't help but show off to Ling Xiao. He wanted to see Ling Xiao's pained, desperate, and angry expression. But what he saw was a calm face. "Are you done?" Ling Xiao said contemptuously. "Not to mention 1 year. Even if I give you 100 years, you'll still be trash. I, Ling Xiao, will put my words here. Even if I'm just an ordinary disciple of the Devil Dragon Sword Court, I'll also become the most outstanding one, above all the core disciples. You demon generals have no foresight. Don't regret it." The demon generals weren't angry at his words. They only took it as Ling Xiao's angry roar. But they didn't know that they were really blind. "Brat, your tone is very arrogant, but it's only for now. 1 year later, you'll know what despair is. Lin Feiyong, come with me." Chun Luo glanced coldly at Ling Xiao and turned to leave. He didn't want to stay here. He was mainly afraid that the other demon generals would be jealous and snatch Lin Feiyong away. This was the biggest advantage he had. He definitely couldn't let it go. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao. There was mockery. There was sympathy. There were also very complicated expressions. From their point of view, Ling Xiao was truly a tragedy. He had worked so hard to become the champion. In the end, he became an abandoned piece that no one wanted. However, Ling Xiao's expression was as calm as ever. What he needed was the Devil Dragon Sword Court's martial arts and resources. As for his master's guidance, he didn't need it at all. After all, his Tai Chi eye was enough to analyze any martial arts. If it really didn't work, there was still a Yuan Venerate. He really didn't care about the demon generals of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. He was actually quite happy that Chun Luo didn't choose him. Otherwise, he didn't know how that fellow would deal with him. "Sky Demon General, can you let Ling Xiao follow me?" Suddenly, a voice was heard from the crowd. It was demon envoy Lin Gang. Lin Gang had watched Ling Xiao go from the first to the third round and finally become the champion. He had even used the divine fire to kill the original 13 demon generals. How could such an outstanding person be abandoned? He couldn't understand. Therefore, he wanted Ling Xiao to follow him. Although a demon envoy didn't have the authority to accept disciples, he belonged to the Sky Demon residence. As long as Ling Xiao became his subordinate, even if he was an ordinary disciple of the Sky Demon residence, it would still be better than no one. Of course, I'm just afraid that Ling Xiao won't be willing. The Sky Demon general looked at Ling Xiao. I'm willing. Ling Xiao nodded without hesitation. He was very willing to trust this demon envoy Lin Gang. From the first round, Lin Gang thought highly of him. He believed that following Lin Gang wouldn't be bad. Big brother, I want to follow you too. Xiao Qi suddenly said, Don't mess around. The Sky Demon General is the strongest among the 13 demon generals. You'll only have a bright future if you follow him. Besides, I'm also a member of the Sky Demon residence if I follow demon envoy Lin Gang. We'll meet again. Ling Xiao immediately stopped Xiao Qi from messing around. He wasn't afraid of death, but he couldn't let Xiao Qi die with him. Big brother, you're not lying to me? Xiao Qi tilted her head and asked, Of course. Your big brother Ling Xiao isn't lying to you. The Sky Demon General was very satisfied with Ling Xiao's approach, so his attitude towards Ling Xiao was much better than before. That's good. I'll follow this old uncle to cultivate. But big brother, you must come and see Qi often. Only then did Xiao Qi reply obediently. All right, Lin Gang, bring Xiao Qi and Ling Xiao back to the Sky Demon residence. I have something to report to the Demon Lord. Chapter 2969. After the disciples were distributed, Ling Xiao also received his reward, a total of 3 million mid-grade spirit stones. Although he didn't become a direct disciple of a demon general, this generous amount of mid-grade spirit stones made the others jealous for a while. For Ling Xiao, such a large amount of spirit stones could be used for a long time, whether it was for cultivation or for making refining formation stones. Sure enough, coming to the Sword Dynasty was the right choice. It was extremely important for his cultivation and will. In fact, there were many warriors like him who were very powerful in small places. They were definitely top geniuses. However, when they went to a bigger place, they instantly became no different from ordinary people. They were even regarded as trash by others. The huge psychological gap caused many such geniuses to fall into the sand and eventually disappear into the crowd. It wasn't that their talent wasn't good enough, but that their psychological quality was too poor. They experienced too few hardships and weren't tenacious enough. Ling Xiao was different. In the face of ridicule and contempt, he just laughed it off. The future would explain everything. When he and Lin Gang went to the Heavenly Demon Mansion, the news about the entrance examination quickly spread, not only inside the Demon Dragon Sword Court, but also outside. The ups and downs of Ling Xiao, the Triple Crown champion, were even more vividly embellished by those who were interested. It made him a laughingstock in everyone's eyes, a typical example of overestimating oneself. He was abandoned by all the demon generals. Even the opponents he defeated were appreciated by the demon generals. As for himself, he could only be the subordinate of a demon envoy. Sad, pitiful, lamentable. It was impossible to say that Ling Xiao didn't feel anything. He also felt unhappy. Although he didn't care whether he became a disciple of a demon general or not, he didn't get what he should have. This was unacceptable to him. Therefore, he temporarily suppressed this feeling in his heart. He wanted to ruthlessly slap the faces of those who looked down on him in the future. He wanted to let them understand what a wrong and idiotic choice they made. Heavy rotten stone and light jade. This was the way those demon generals did things. Humph, I just killed 13 demon generals. I'll keep a low profile for now, but wait until I, Ling Xiao, become strong. What Lin Xian, Qin Yuan, Chen Luo, and the like are. As for Lin Feiyang, he is a joke. Ling Xiao followed behind Lin Gang, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. It was a confident smile, a smile full of hope for the future. The more others looked down on him and the more they suppressed him, the more he wanted to fight back and achieve something. The Heavenly Demon Mansion was located in the Devil Dragon Sword Court, near the deepest part of the valley. It was said that in the depths of the Heavenly Devil Residence was the Devil Master Residence. The deeper one went into the valley, the more abundant the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was. From this point of view, it was not a loss for Ling Xiao to become Lin Gang's subordinate. Although he did not have as many advantages as a devil general's personal disciple, at least he stayed in a good place. Along the way, there were many Sky Devil Mansion's disciples. These people already knew the results of the disciple selection. They paid a lot of attention to Xiao Qiqi and even gave her a flattering smile. This was because Xiao Qiqi would become the Heavenly Demon General's direct disciple. In the future, her status would definitely be higher than theirs. If they wanted to curry favor with her, it was better to do it as soon as possible. As for Ling Xiao, they also took a few glances at him because they really wanted to know which unlucky bastard had clearly obtained very good results, but caused the 13 demon generals to feel disdain for him. No wonder. I heard that he's already 16 years old, but his cultivation level is so low. It's normal for him to be looked down upon. If his talent isn't good enough, it's meaningless no matter how powerful he is at this stage. I heard that he killed the 13 devil generals. That's nothing. I heard that he used a magic weapon that can release divine fire. It's a one-time use magic weapon. It's very powerful, but it's over after a single use. It's not like that's his strength. No wonder. I knew it. With his cultivation level, how could he be a match for the 13 devil generals? Such discussions never stopped in Ling Xiao's ears. Xiao Qiqi wanted to argue for Ling Xiao, but she was stopped by Ling Xiao, because it was meaningless. If they argued now, even if they won, it would only be a temporary satisfaction. Only when one's strength was truly powerful, that would be the foundation. When that time came, these people would come over to curry favor. I really didn't misjudge you. With such a tenacious will, I believe that you'll definitely make everyone look at you in a different light. Lin Gang turned around and said. He did not know what others thought, but he always felt that Ling Xiao's talent was even more outstanding than the young demon lord, Empress Lan Meichen. Thank you for your praise, Devil Envoy. I won't let you down. Ling Xiao would never disappoint those who cared about him. The night was invisible. Chunbai was the same. Of course, I know you won't let me down, but I have to remind you of one thing. Among the 72 devil envoys, 12 of them belong to the Heavenly Demon Residence. Among them are Devil Envoy Lin Xian and Devil Envoy Chen Yuan. Lin Xian is in charge of the ordinary disciples' usual cultivation, and Chen Yuan is in charge of assigning tasks to ordinary disciples. Neither of them will let you have an easy time. However, you're lucky that I'm in charge of the ordinary disciples' rewards. So in terms of rewards, you won't be disappointed. Now, we're going to meet Lin Xian and Chen Yuan. Later, you'll have to restrain yourself. There's no need to make things difficult for them now. Lin Gang suddenly said very seriously, Is that so? Ling Xiao frowned, but his brows immediately relaxed. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. Why should he be afraid of 2 devil envoys? Thinking of this, he nodded and continued to follow Lin Gang to meet Lin Xian. In the Heavenly Demon Residence, the ordinary disciples' residences were all rows of wooden buildings. Near the residences, there was a large martial arts arena. Only the ordinary disciples would come here to cultivate. As for the personal disciples of the devil generals, they had their own private residences. It seemed that every sect was like this. Qiqi, are you coming with me? Ling Xiao saw Xiao Qiqi following him and could not help but ask. Big brother, since that old uncle hasn't come back yet, Qiqi is just going to familiarize herself with the roads. I can come here often in the future. Xiao Qiqi smiled. Ling Xiao actually understood. that Xiao Qiqi was worried that he would be wronged. However, what was the use of this little girl following him? Lin Xian would probably not give her face. Of course, he did not say this out loud. Soon, the three of them arrived at the ordinary disciples' training grounds. Lin Xian was currently dressed in armor and had the heroic spirit of a woman. As for the ordinary disciples, they were seizing the time to cultivate. Some were sparring, and some were sitting cross-legged to accumulate inner strength. No one was wasting time, because if they worked hard, they might become a personal disciple. Every one of these ordinary disciples' cultivation is stronger than mine, as expected of the Devil Dragon's sword court. Amazing. Ling Xiao looked at these people and could not help but sigh in his heart. If any of these people were to be taken to the Chen Nation or the Volcano Nation in the past, they would be absolute top existences. Chapter 2970. Lin Xian. Ling Xiao will be an ordinary disciple of the Heavenly Demon Mansion from now on. I'll have to rely on you for cultivation. Lin Gang walked over and greeted Lin Xian. As expected, your combat strength is still lacking. Your performance in the third round was very poor, just as I expected. Lin Xian saw Ling Xiao and couldn't help but reveal a playful smile. But don't be discouraged, little guy. Your combat strength is poor. I'll teach you well. By the way, Lin Gang, where's my brother Lin Feiyang? The Heavenly Demon General chose this little girl as his personal disciple. Could it be that my brother was chosen by the second Demon General? Obviously, Lin Xian seemed to have misunderstood something. Her hostility towards Ling Xiao wasn't as strong as before, but if she knew the truth, she wouldn't be like this. Your brother, Lin Feiyang, is a treasure, except for the Heavenly Demon General. The other 12 Demon Generals were fighting for him, but in the end he was snatched away by the new Demon General, Qin Luo. Lin Gang said with a smile, "It's actually Uncle Qin. This is good. Uncle Chen will treat him like his own son. My brother will definitely be like a carp that leaps over the dragon gate and soars to the sky. But I don't quite understand. My brother should be the champion of the third round. Even if the Heavenly Demon General didn't choose him, the second Demon General should have chosen him, right? What's going on?" Lin Xian's question stumped Lin Gang. Lin Gang was a little worried. Once Lin Xian knew the truth, would she kill Ling Xiao now? But just as he was hesitating, Xiao Qiqi said with a smile, "He's not the champion of the third round." "He's not the champion of the third round? Then who is?" Lin Xian suddenly looked at Xiao Qiqi as if she suddenly understood something. "Right, it must be you, little girl. No wonder the Heavenly Demon General chose you. Alas, my brother's talent is good, but compared to you, he's really lacking. Losing to you, I'm convinced." Wrong. It's not Qiqi. The champion of the third round is my big brother. It should be said that he's the champion of all 3 rounds. But your Demon Dragon Sword Court's Demon Generals don't seem to have good eyesight. No one chose my big brother. That Qin Luo actually chose Lin Feiyang, who was already eliminated. It's really incomprehensible. Xiao Qiqi was still young after all. She spoke without thinking, and even despised the Devil General. What? So it's like this. Lin Xian's gaze when looking at Ling Xiao suddenly became seething with killing intent. "Lin Xian, what are you doing?" Although Ling Xiao is not the Heavenly Demon General's direct disciple, he is still a disciple of the Heavenly Demon Palace. If you dare to touch him, you will be going against the Heavenly Demon General. Lin Gang hurriedly stood in front of Ling Xiao. He could feel the terrifying killing intent emanating from Lin Xian's body. That was the feeling of wanting to kill Ling Xiao. "Don't worry, I won't kill him. I want to save his life for my younger brother. Besides, he was just a loser. So what if he won 3 championships? He was still a piece of trash that was looked down upon by the Demon Generals. I can understand the choice of the Demon Generals. To reach such a cultivation level at your age, I'm afraid that your cultivation will stagnate in the future. Soon, he would be surpassed by others. Your current strength is only temporary. I believe that it won't be long before my younger brother, Lin Feang, soars to the sky under the guidance of Demon General Chen Luo. If you are defeated or even killed by my younger brother, you won't have any complaints, right? Lin Xian suddenly revealed a disdainful sneer. That's for the best. Then, Lin Xian, I'll leave Ling Xiao to you. You will be in charge of his residence and the arrangement of his cultivation. I hope that you won't do anything that violates the rules of the Heavenly Demon Palace. Otherwise, I will definitely report this to the Heavenly Demon General. Think about it carefully. Lin Geng could not always protect Ling Xiao. After all, in the Heavenly Demon Palace, the demon envoys each had their own duties. He also had his own matters to attend to. Xiao Qiqi, let's go. I'll bring you to the place where the direct disciples live. Lin Geng looked deeply at Ling Xiao and sighed helplessly. He believed that Ling Xiao would definitely be suppressed by Lin Xian. Although he would not die, he would definitely be restrained. However, whether Ling Xiao could truly become a genius would depend on whether he could break through these obstacles. True geniuses rose to prominence after going through countless hardships. The so-called geniuses who rose in a greenhouse generally withered faster. Xiao Qiqi looked back at Ling Xiao with every step she took. Finally, she reluctantly left with Lin Geng. Originally, he thought that after Lin Geng left, Lin Xian would cause trouble. However, she did not. Lin Xian ordered a disciple to bring him to his residence. She let him rest first. Then he would be baptized by the demonic dragon. Regarding the baptism of the demonic dragon, Ling Xiao had already figured it out before coming to the demonic dragon sword court. It was Xiao Qiqi who told him. In order to ensure the loyalty of all the disciples of the demonic dragon sword court, all the disciples who joined the demonic dragon sword court, regardless of whether they were direct disciples or ordinary disciples, had to undergo the baptism of the demonic dragon. This so-called baptism of the demonic dragon was a terrifying forbidden energy. It was a bit like Ling Xiao's soul catcher. However, it was even more terrifying. The martial artists who were baptized by the demonic dragon would receive the energy bestowed by the demonic dragon. However, they would never be able to betray the demonic dragon sword court. Once betrayed, the demonic dragon restriction would be activated directly. It would cripple the martial artist cultivation or even kill the martial artist directly. Like I said, the big sects nowadays are all very cunning. There have been so many cases of people betraying their sections. They will definitely think of ways to change this situation. In the residence, there was only Ling Xiao alone, so he simply let Xiao Jin out. The one who spoke was Xiao Jin. It's okay. That demonic dragon restriction is just a soul restriction. It won't do any harm to me. Instead, it will stimulate my potential and promote my cultivation. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I'm not worried about this now. Instead, I'm worried about that Lin Xian. That woman's mouth is good, but she will definitely trip me up. Boss, do you want to get rid of this woman first? Xiao Jin suddenly said, if the two of us work together and use the divine fire to burn her to death, I think we still have a 50% chance of winning. If I kill her, I won't be able to stay here any longer. After all, she is different from the original 13 demon generals. Not only is she not hated, but many people like her. Moreover, I won't stay in the demonic dragon sword court for too long. As long as I absorb the power of the dragon turtle and obtain the dragon bone, I will leave. How could he stay in such an unhappy place for too long? If it wasn't for the dragon turtle, he would have left already. That's true. Boss, you are so considerate. However, you will be tortured by that little girl for the next few days. Xiao Jin said helplessly. Shoo, she's here. Ling Xiao suddenly made a shushing gesture and put Xiao Jin back into the beast ring. However, he sneered in his heart. It wouldn't be that easy for Lin Xian to torture him. Chapter 2971. Lin Xian directly pushed the door open and walked in without any intention of knocking. He is the demon envoy of the demon dragon sword court. So unruly? entering someone else's residence without even knocking on the door. Have you lived for so many years in vain? Ling Xiao had experienced so many things, and the most clear thing was that the more you admitted defeat, the more others would bully you. So in front of Lin Xian, he had no intention of admitting defeat. He would say what he needed to say. In any case, Lin Xian's attitude towards him would not change at all. Lin Xian stood there, staring at Ling Xiao with a gaze as cold as a knife. A terrifying aura was completely released, like a devil strangling Ling Xiao's neck. It brought a huge sense of oppression to Ling Xiao. She was clearly trying to give Ling Xiao a show of strength. Brat, I heard that you killed the original 13 demon generals. Do you really think that you can show off in front of me? Lin Xian said coldly. Ling Xiao said disdainfully, I'm showing off? The demon envoy didn't knock on the door and casually barged into my residence. Is it my fault? If you dare to talk back, it's your fault. Lin Xian's cold voice was like a knife, madly spinning in Ling Xiao's eardrums. It made Ling Xiao very uncomfortable. Although this woman was overbearing, she was indeed powerful. Ling Xiao had to admit this point. But so, did he need to admit defeat? Of course not. You can try to threaten me again, and see if you will end up like the original 13 demon generals. TSK, being burned into charcoal, it's a pity for your face. Ling Xiao channeled his internal force and forced himself to stand up. He looked at Lin Xian with a smile that was not a smile. He had no intention of retreating at all. Instead, he walked over step by step. Stop right there. Lin Xian took a step back instead. She was indeed still afraid of Ling Xiao's divine fire. Although Ling Xiao might not have the divine fire, she did not want to take the risk. Get out, knock on the door. Ling Xiao continued to walk, his voice even colder. On his right hand, a blazing flame suddenly appeared. It was the true Samadhi fire. Since he was going to put on an act, he might as well go all out. It would be best if Lin Xian didn't dare to make a move on him. This way he would be safer. Don't go too far. Do you know the consequences of offending me? Lin Xian was a little scared at heart. Why don't you tell me what will happen? Ling Xiao laughed contemptuously and continued walking towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian kept retreating and was already outside the residence. Her face was extremely red as the murderous intent in her eyes reached its peak. But she didn't dare to make a move. Looking at the terrifying divine flames burning in Ling Xiao's hands, she was extremely fearful. Although her chances of killing Ling Xiao were higher, if she were to be burned by the divine flames, then it would be too bad of a deal. She felt that it wasn't worth it for someone with such status to be more afraid of death. You win, kid. But remember, you won't have a good life in the Demon Dragon Sword Court in the future. Lin Xian gritted her teeth, thinking that maybe she should find a fire-resistant magic weapon. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would be as difficult to deal with as a hedgehog. Even if she was a fierce tiger, she would still be afraid. Thinking of this, she had to turn around and leave. She had already remembered this in her heart. Seeing Lin Xian leave, Ling Xiao suddenly closed the door and sat on the ground as if he had collapsed. His head was covered in cold sweat. Just now he seemed to be relaxed, but in fact it was very dangerous. If Lin Xian wasn't so timid and really attacked him, then he could only run away. The divine flames were very difficult to control. Even he could only control it perfectly when refining pills. If it was an attack, just the 9 dragons' heavenly fire shield wouldn't be enough. The 9 dragons' heavenly fire shield's level of martial arts was still too low. Relying on him to control the divine flames to attack was similar to drawing a lottery. The probability was extremely low. What Ling Xiao hated the most was betting his fate on such an illusory probability. It was too risky. Not long after Lin Xian left, Lin Geng came. Are you all right? Lin Geng's first sentence was to ask Ling Xiao if he was all right. When he came here, he had already heard that Lin Xian had found Ling Xiao, so he was a little worried. I'm all right. Don't you see that I'm fine? Ling Xiao smiled. Lin Gang gave him the feeling of an elder brother. He felt that he was quite lucky. Although some people wanted to be his enemy, there were also people like Lin Gang and Xiao Qiqi who cared about him. Perhaps life was like this. There were people who hated you, and there were people who loved you. Strange. Did Lin Xian change her personality? She didn't beat you up? Lin Gang scratched his head, very puzzled. But seeing that Ling Xiao was fine, he was relieved. It's like this. I just finished my task and rushed over here. I mainly wanted to tell you about the situation of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. After all, you were chosen by me. If I could accept a disciple, I would definitely choose you as my personal disciple. Lin Gang said with a smile, Thank you for your concern. Ling Xiao felt warm in his heart. Don't be so polite. Just call me Big Brother Lin. I'm a few years older than you. Is there a problem with me being your big brother? Lin Gang said with a smile, Of course there's no problem, Big Brother Lin. Ling Xiao said, Good. Brother, now listen to me carefully. In our Devil Dragon Sword Court, the most mysterious and magical place is the 9-story Demon Tower. The 9-story Demon Tower is located in the deepest part of the Devil Dragon Sword Court. The Demon Master's mansion is at the top of the 9-story Demon Tower. Each story of the 9-story Demon Tower was a small world. It didn't look big from the outside, but it was a different world inside. It was the best place to cultivate in the Devil Dragon Sword Court. There were different levels of monsters on each story. That was why it was called the 9-story Demon Tower. The monsters on the first story were mostly below the peak of the 1-star Yin-Yang Realm's 14th level of hell. The monsters on the second story were at the early stage of the 1-star Yin-Yang Realm's 15th level of hell. The monsters on the third story were at the middle or late stage of the 1-star Yin-Yang Realm's 15th level of hell. The monsters on the fourth story were at the peak of the 1-star Yin-Yang Realm's 15th level of hell. There were no monsters on the fifth story. It was a battlefield. The disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court would often split into two factions to fight there. It was like a real battle. It was very exciting. As for the 6th, 7th, and 8th stories, even I haven't been there. I don't know what they are like. The 9-story Demon Tower. What a domineering name. It seems that if I want to fight in the future, I don't need to go outside to find monsters. I just need to enter the 9-story Demon Tower and find monsters of the same strength as me to fight. Ling Xiao felt satisfied. Perhaps this was the benefit of being in a sect. It wasn't so convenient to be alone outside. The monsters in the wild didn't care about the region. It was very likely that he would encounter monsters that he couldn't deal with. That would be dangerous and inconvenient for cultivation. The 9-story Demon Tower had 9 stories. Ling Xiao knew about the first 5 and the last story. However, even Lin Gang, a demon envoy, didn't know about the 6th, 7th, and 8th stories. It seemed that only demon generals were qualified to go there. Chapter 2972. Ling Xiao didn't find any place like a library in the Demon Dragon Sword Court. Then, he was sure that one of the 6th, 7th, or 8th floors of the 9-story Demon Tower should be where all the martial arts of the Demon Dragon Sword Court were stored. It seemed that he had to try the 9-story Demon Tower, whether it was to improve his cultivation or to get better martial arts. Big Brother Lin, if I want to enter the 9-story Demon Tower, are there any special requirements? Ling Xiao asked. The first 5 floors basically have no requirements. Ordinary disciples need to pay a certain amount of spirit stones to enter. Personal disciples don't have that requirement, and you should understand that if your cultivation is not up to par, if you rashly enter a floor that is not equal to your strength, you will definitely lose your life. Lin Gang said, With your current cultivation, entering the first or second floor shouldn't be a problem, but the third floor is too dangerous. Not only will it not help your cultivation, but it will also cause you to lose your life. Thank you for your reminder, Big Brother Lin. I naturally know my level. The first floor won't be of much help to me. I think if I really want to go, I should go directly to the second floor. Ling Xiao thought for a while. Well, although you seem to be very reckless, in fact, Everything seems to be carefully thought out. Going to the 9-story demon tower is also good. The sect has a rule that disciples who stay in the 9-story demon tower don't have to listen to the orders of the demon envoy, unless the demon general gives the order. Of course, to cultivate in the 9-story demon tower, in addition to paying spirit stones to enter, you also need to pay spirit stones every once in a while. This time is generally 3 hours, so you'd better prepare enough spirit stones. Otherwise, you will be directly kicked out. I know. Ling Xiao was really grateful to Lin Geng. If it weren't for him, Ling Xiao would never know so much about the 9-story demon tower. Okay, then you continue to cultivate. I'm leaving. Lin Geng finished what he wanted to say and didn't stay any longer. He turned and left. Ling Xiao sat there and carefully calculated. Now, the martial skills he learned after coming to the Black Tortoise continent had seriously lagged behind. Other than the true devil sword essence that was still passable, the rest of the martial skills were basically useless. Although he could use the martial arts techniques of the light and shadow profound, he had a grudge against Ling Long Palace and the other forces of the 9 Supremes. Once he used those moves of light and shadow profound, he would definitely be targeted. Offending the Heavenly Sword Hall was already a headache. If he was targeted by those guys, it would be even more difficult for him. Therefore, if he could avoid using it, he would try his best not to. Of course, he still had the Sun God's ability and the additional skills of the Beast Soul. These were all skills that would continue to increase in power as his cultivation increased, so there would be no lag. There was also the Seal of Eternal Life. This was also not a normal martial technique. If he used it, and the people of the Eternal Life Palace saw through it, it would be very troublesome. As a reserve ability, it could be used as a surprise attack. Therefore, he was very hungry and thirsty right now. He really hoped to obtain the Devil Dragon Sword Quartz martial arts. After learning more advanced martial techniques, he would raise his cultivation to the first revolution of the Yin-Yang realm. The first revolution of the Yin-Yang realm's 18 levels of hell. He should be able to try to go to the forbidden land of death. Through there, he would reach the 4 major domains. With his current strength, he could only use the divine fire to scare the demon envoy Lin Xian. If they really fought, he had no chance of winning. Of course, at this stage, he still had to take it step by step. His cultivation still had to be raised step by step. One could not become a fatty in one go. His current goal was to raise his cultivation as much as possible and strive to obtain the power of the dragon turtle. If that was the case, his cultivation might be able to improve by leaps and bounds. Strong enemies are waiting for me. If I don't work hard, how can I do it? Looking at the dark night sky outside the window, Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. Time often passed very quickly during cultivation. In the blink of an eye, it was already the 2nd day. Ling Xiao was still immersed in cultivation and did not wake up. A night of cultivation had consolidated the energy in his cultivation to about 70%. He believed that as long as he could absorb the energy of the Devil Dragon Seal, his cultivation would definitely break through. Just as his cultivation reached a critical point, Lin Geng suddenly came. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and curiously asked him what was going on. "Why are you still here? Didn't Lin Xian tell you that you have to participate in the Devil Dragon Baptism today? The rules of the Heavenly Demon Residence are very strict. If you are late, you will definitely be punished." Lin Geng said anxiously. "That bitch didn't tell me at all." Ling Xiao's face was a little ugly. This Lin Xian had already started to set him up. "Stop scolding and go quickly. You should still be able to make it now," Lin Geng urged. Thank you, Brother Lin." Ling Xiao nodded and used the Devil Dragon Phantom movement technique to dash out of his residence. He went straight to the place of the Devil Dragon Baptism. He only needed to use the Tai Chi eye to know the location of that place. Hence, he did not ask Lin Geng. When Ling Xiao arrived at the destination, he was already the last one. However, he was sure that he was not late. He just arrived on time. The other new disciples of the Heavenly Demon Residence had already arrived. When Xiao Qiqi saw him, She hurriedly rushed over. Big brother, why are you only here now? I was so anxious. I almost thought that you weren't coming. How could that be? Ling Xiao smiled. How could I dare to delay the important matters of the heavenly demon residence? You come here. Suddenly, a cold voice with a hint of killing intent could be heard. This made Ling Xiao very puzzled. Who did he offend this time? He raised his head and saw a 16-year-old boy who was about the same age as him. The boy had a head of silver hair and was quite handsome. He was also very strong. Ling Xiao was sure that he did not know this person at all. Are you calling me? Ling Xiao asked. Other than you, who else could it be? You are so late and so unruly, the boy said coldly. I'm not late, right? Ling Xiao defended himself. Do you have such low standards for yourself? Is it enough that you're not late? In the future, if the heavenly demon residence has any matters to attend to, you must arrive at least 10 minutes earlier. Do you want us, the direct disciples, to wait for you? When the boy spoke, his nostrils were almost raised to the sky. He was so arrogant. Who is this person? Ling Xiao asked Xiao Qiqi. Big brother, it's better that you don't offend him. This person is one of my master's direct disciples. Oh, right, he's my 9th senior brother. 9th senior brother is the same as you, big brother. He was also the champion of the entrance selection and won 3 consecutive championships. Of course, he didn't break as many records as you. However, his cultivation was at the early stage of the 15th level of hell. Now that 2 years have passed, his cultivation has increased to the late stage of the 15th level of hell. This kind of strength is almost on par with a demon envoy. I'm not his opponent at all. Chapter 2973. When he heard Xiao Qiqi's introduction, the young man's expression became even more smug. I'm sorry, personal disciple. I'll come earlier next time. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said, this time he was tricked by Lin Xian. Otherwise, he would not have come so late. That's it. Now, apologize to me immediately. The young man said coldly, 9th senior brother, that's enough. Big brother is not late. Let's hurry to the place of the demonic dragon's baptism. Otherwise, we'll miss the time. Xiao Qiqi pleaded for Ling Xiao. It would have been better if she did not speak. Once she spoke, the young man's expression became even uglier. Ling Xiao roughly understood. Perhaps this was the so-called femme fatale. Although Xiao Qiqi was young, she already had the potential to be a beauty. Moreover, she was so talented. Not only did Lin Feiyang take a fancy to her, but even this young man seemed to be interested in Xiao Qiqi. Originally, if he was not late, this young man would not say anything. However, Xiao Qiqi was so enthusiastic towards him. This young man would definitely find fault with him. After figuring out the reason, Ling Xiao also despised this young man a little more. Was this not taking revenge on him? Apologize? Not a chance. Ling Xiao looked at the young man and said, You're asking for a beating. The young man looked at Ling Xiao and his face darkened. If you know my temper, you won't talk to me like this. As he spoke, his body suddenly flashed and he was already in front of Ling Xiao. He raised his right hand and slapped Ling Xiao's face. Boom! Ling Xiao's body suddenly burned with a terrifying flame. It was the divine fire. The 9 Dragons' divine fire shield had a special feature. It could cover the entire body with the divine fire. This way, even if he could not defeat the other party, he would not be afraid of the other party. Unless the other party had a fire-based martial soul or some kind of dharma treasure that could repel fire, otherwise, anyone who dared to touch him would suffer. Fang Feiyun's palm was originally less than 3 inches away from Ling Xiao. However, he suddenly withdrew his strength and his body was pushed back by his own inner energy. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He was in a sorry state. I understand you now. You're arrogant and conceited just because you have some strength. You bully the weak. Ling Xiao looked at Fang Feiyun and sneered. You're good. Fang Feiyun, swallowed his anger and blood. In the face of Ling Xiao's divine flames, he really couldn't think of a suitable way to attack him. Although he wasn't afraid of divine fire, he wasn't good at long-range attacks. It seemed that he had to get his hands on a fire-type, defensive magic treasure. Ling Xiao didn't know that his divine fire had caused the price of fire-type, defensive magic treasures in the Devil Dragon Sword Court to increase by at least 100 times. It was priceless. Of course I'm fine. Ling Xiao sneered. You. Fang Feiyun almost choked to death. All right, 9th senior brother. Hurry up and undergo the demonic dragon baptism. If you continue to cause trouble for Big Brother, don't blame me for being impolite. Although I'm not your opponent, I still want to fight you. Xiao Qiqi was a little angry. When Fang Feiyun saw this, although his heart was itching with hatred, he still didn't want to offend Xiao Qiqi. Firstly, he had feelings for Xiao Qiqi, so he naturally had to do his best in front of Xiao Qiqi. Secondly, Xiao Qiqi was now a heavenly demon general, which was the most popular person in front of his master. It wouldn't do him any good to offend her. Helpless, he could only lead everyone to the place of the demonic dragon baptism. At the place of the demonic dragon baptism, the 100 new disciples of the Devil Dragon Sword Court had already arrived. Of course, Lin Feiyang was among them. However, at this time, with the personal disciples of the Devil General's mansion leading the way, no one dared to cause trouble. 100 people were sent into a pitch-black cave. Then, the roar of a real demonic dragon came from the cave. After that, a terrifying energy was injected into everyone's soul realm. It was trying to form an unbreakable mark in everyone's spirit realm. That was the mark of the demonic dragon seal. How could Ling Xiao allow such a thing to happen? In his spirit realm, a terrifying black shadow appeared. It was the true body of the heavenly tyrant martial spirit. Facing a demonic dragon that came from outside, it pinched the demonic dragon as if it was an earthworm and crushed it. Here's the chance to absorb all of the demonic dragon's energy. The moment he broke the demonic dragon seal, Ling Xiao suddenly released the Taotai beast. A large amount of the demonic dragon's energy was swallowed into the stomach of the Taotai beast like rolling black gas. Then, a large amount of it merged into Ling Xiao's cells and turned into potential. After all, Ling Xiao was still unable to accept so much energy in an instant. He had to store it for future use. However, a part of the energy entered his cultivation sea. In an instant, he broke through the shackles of his cultivation sea. His cultivation sea broke through from the early stage of the 14th level of hell to the middle stage of the 14th level of hell. The most terrifying thing was that the energy did not stop there. Instead, it continued to fill his cultivation sea. It only stopped when his cultivation sea reached 60% of the energy. His cultivation sea had broken through. However, he didn't know that his breakthrough had caused such a terrifying event. The disciples who were receiving the demonic dragon baptism suddenly felt that the demonic dragon's energy was completely sucked away. The demonic dragon seal was not completed. They didn't get any benefits either. Even the personal disciples who were outside the cave could feel that the demonic dragon's energy had disappeared in an instant. This made them turn pale with fright. After all, the demonic dragon's existence was a crucial part of the demonic dragon sword court. It was because of him that the disciples of the demonic dragon sword court could always be obedient and never betray them. Now the demonic dragon was dead, disappeared. They were panicking. However, no one knew what had happened. The 100 new disciples were sent back, and they went directly to their respective masters to report what had happened here. Ling Xiao did not return to his residence. Instead, he went directly to the 9th-floored demon tower. His idea was simple. Now, there was a lot of potential stored in his cells. Since he wanted to improve his cultivation sea as soon as possible, the best way was to go to the 9th-floored demon tower and keep fighting. Only by fighting monsters stronger than himself could he stimulate his potential and break through his cultivation sea. Just the current situation was definitely not enough. Moreover, as long as he entered the 9-floored demon tower. That bitch Lin Xian would not be able to control him. He could be a little more relaxed. Arriving at the 9-floored demon tower, Ling Xiao showed his disciple card and then asked to enter the 2nd floor. The guard just looked at Ling Xiao with disdain and said lightly, "The 2nd floor of the 9-floored demon tower requires 100,000 low-grade spirit stones to enter. Every 3 hours, 10,000 low-grade spirit stones will be automatically deducted. As long as you have the disciple card and enough spirit stones, you can stay inside. Here are 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. Please keep them well." Ling Xiao directly transferred the spirit stones into the guard's storage ring. It didn't matter if the guard was contemptuous or disdainful, as long as he didn't stop him from entering the 9-floored demon tower. You can go in. Chapter 2974. Ling Xiao stepped into the teleportation gate. In an instant, the scenery changed. When everything returned to normal, Ling Xiao sensed the terrifying demonic aura around him. The demonic beasts here are all at the initial stage of the 1-star level 15 hell. I can use them to improve my cultivation. Ling Xiao smiled. Little Gold, let's join hands and kill them. Let's find the fire-type demonic beasts first. Dealing with fire-type demonic beasts could help him stimulate his potential. Also, obtaining demonic beast cores could allow Little Gold to continue evolving and improving his strength. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll listen to you, boss. Little Gold had been cooped up in the beast ring for a long time. Being able to come out and fight was a very satisfying thing for him. Furthermore, his strength had already reached the peak of the 1 revolution yin-yang level 14 hell, and he was only 1 step away from breaking through. The demonic beasts here weren't weak. Their inner cores could definitely help him improve his cultivation greatly. Why not? The demonic beasts on the 2nd level of the 9-level demon pagoda were basically at the initial stage of the 1-star level 15 hell. However, due to the long-term killing, some of the demonic beasts had mutated and advanced. Therefore, there would occasionally be terrifying existences at the intermediate stage or even the advanced stage of the 15 hell. Therefore, Ling Xiao was also more cautious. He directly opened his Tai Chi eye. On one hand, it would be easier to find fire-type demonic beasts. On the other hand, it would also prevent him from encountering or being ambushed by demonic beasts he couldn't defeat. Ling Xiao, although the tyrannical sky martial soul can't be easily revealed to outsiders, the 12 beast god positions you obtained are still a heaven-defying existence in the Black Tortoise continent. The Yuan Venerate suddenly spoke while Ling Xiao was searching for demonic beasts. Master, why are you suddenly saying this? Ling Xiao asked in confusion. The reason I'm saying this is to tell you that martial techniques are only supplementary. The inheritance of the 12 beast gods is the key to your dominance in the Black Tortoise continent. The legend of the 12 beast god positions has been circulating in the Black Tortoise continent for a long time. However, no one has ever obtained them. You, a martialist who doesn't belong to the Black Tortoise continent, obtained the 12 beast god position because of the tyrannical sky martial soul. You also have the complete sun divine beast soul, the ox divine beast soul, and the incomplete divine beast soul. Although you are still unable to unleash the full power of these beast god martial spirits, you will be able to master their divine abilities, master its power. You will gradually become the new king of the beast deities that is above the 12 beast deities. The new beast deity king? It sounds quite domineering. I wonder if it's strong. Ling Xiao asked with a smile. I'm not sure about other things, but I'm sure that when you fully grasp the power of one of the beast god martial spirits, your strength will increase by leaps and bounds. You don't even need to use other demonic beasts to transform. Instead, he could directly transform into a beast god. At that time, no one will dare to underestimate your strength. Yuan Venerate said, as long as I awaken a beast god incarnation, I can run amok in the Black Tortoise continent Ling Xiao asked curiously. That won't do, but you can definitely be ranked among the strong. In the end, cultivation is still very important. Don't you want to save you, Feng Hua? According to my calculations, once you awaken one of the beast god incarnations, your combat strength will definitely surpass that of a first-stage life-sizer. In other words, putting aside the powerhouses of the Eternal Life Palace, you can definitely be considered invincible among the 9 Supremes. Yuan Venerate analyzed. Ling Xiao absolutely believed Yuan Venerate's words. After all, Yuan Venerate was the apothecary of the immortal court continent. It was normal that Ling Xiao didn't know what he knew. If awakening a beast god incarnation could make him so powerful, then what if he awakened 12 beast god martial spirits? Wouldn't that be heaven-defying? Yuan Venerate couldn't help but feel a little excited at the thought of this. His current goal was to become the champion of the Black Tortoise continent. All the beast god martial spirits had to be awakened. Oh, by the way, I'm telling you this today because I hope that you can focus on awakening one of the beast god martial spirits. That way, the awakening speed will be faster, Yuan Venerate added. Thank you for your guidance, Master. However, how can I awaken it? Ling Xiao asked curiously. It's very simple. Whichever beast god martial spirit you want to awaken. You just have to try your best to obtain the corresponding demonic beast core. The stronger the demonic beast core, the more it can stimulate the fusion of the beast god martial spirit with your body. The awakening power will also continue to increase. Yuan Venerate replied, This is also the result of my recent research. Otherwise, do you think I would have nothing to do in your Mountain River realm? That's great, Master. You are simply a timely help. Ling Xiao said excitedly. However, I currently only have the Sun God Beast Spirit, the Ox God Beast Spirit, and the incomplete Grand Deity Beast Spirit. Which one is more suitable to awaken? Which one you want to awaken is your freedom. However, Master thinks that awakening the Grand Deity Beast Spirit is more suitable. The Grand Deity Beast Spirit represents all birds, so it can awaken more demonic beast cores. In addition, the undying bird beast spirit that you possess is very rare and can be used as a vessel for the Grand Deity Beast Spirit. This way, you can still unleash the power of your divine fire, so it should be the most suitable for you. Of course, the Grand Deity Beast Spirit is incomplete, so you can see for yourself. Yuan Venerate replied, Master's words are correct, but I still intend to awaken the Sun God Beast Spirit first. The Sun God Beast Spirit used to be the king of the 12 beast gods, and I have already awakened 3 of its abilities. I am also more familiar with the Sun God Beast Spirit. There are also many rat-type demonic beasts. So I just need to find a vessel comparable to the undying bird beast spirit, right? Although Ling Xiao had accepted some of Yuan Venerate's suggestions, he also had his own ideas. Of course, Master is just giving you a suggestion. In addition, cherish Little Goldwell. Although he is your brother Ling Yan, he is a miraculous creature born out of many coincidences. The combination of the golden crow and the devouring demon fetus, these 2 rare things, I believe that no one can imagine. Nurture him well, and he will definitely be your greatest help, Yuan Venerate said. Yuan Venerate added, I understand. Ling Xiao actually thought the same. Little Gold did not need to cultivate. He only needed to devour energy objects that contained heat to evolve, constantly improving his strength. This was very heaven-defying. All right, you guys continue. Master has consumed a lot of spirit power this time, so I have to go back and continue to rest. Yuan Venerate disappeared after saying that. However, his words made Ling Xiao realize his direction. Martial techniques were only supplementary. Awakening the 12 beast gods was the key. Next, he would focus on awakening the Sun God Beast Spirit. Of course, if he did not waste time, he could also awaken the Ox God Beast Spirit and the Grand Deity Beast Spirit. After all, there were many birds and ox-type demonic beasts. Chapter 2975. Let's go, Little Gold. Let's begin our hunting journey. Ling Xiao and Little Gold looked at each other excitedly. Then, they pounced on a fire-type, rat-type monster. This kind of monster that could help him and Little Gold was not rare. Especially in this 9-floor monster building, there were really many monsters. They did not know if they were born naturally or nurtured by some kind of power. All in all, to them it was simply amazing. Fiery red rat. Strength, 1-star Yin-Yang realm. Early stage of the 15th level of hell. Characteristics, extremely fast, good at fire-type attacks. Soon, the Tai Chi eye finished analyzing the details of the monster in front of them. Although the fiery red rat was a rat-type monster, its body was not small at all. Lying there, it was about 3 meters tall and nearly 5 meters long. If its long tail was included, it would be even longer. Compared to some huge monsters, its body was relatively pocket-sized. Compared to humans, it was too big. The fiery red rat's entire body was covered in crimson fur. There were some strange black patterns on it, and they were in the shape of flames. Its sharp claws and fangs were probably its most terrifying weapons. Very strong. Very strong. It was definitely stronger than Xiao Qi of the same cultivation level. Even without analysis, Ling Xiao could feel the terrifying power contained in the fiery red rat's body just by intuition. If he was caught by this guy, even with his strong physical body, it would be very dangerous. Ling Xiao did not dare to be negligent and directly entered the beast soul transformation of the Tyrannosaurus demon dragon. The combination of the Tyrannosaurus demon dragon phantom could increase his speed. It would also be easier to avoid it, because of its small size and the fact that it was a rat-type monster. This guy's agility must be very high. Those who have seen rats before would probably be very familiar with it. Little Gold, stay at the side and hold the line for me. If I feel that I can't do it, you can help me. At the same time, pay attention to the surrounding situation to avoid being surrounded by monsters. Ling Xiao called out to Little Gold and then took out 10 demon dragon swords. They turned into a pitch-black demon dragon and pounced on the fiery red rat. Along the way, he even used the demonic dragon's possession to increase his speed to the extreme. He wanted to get the fiery red rat's core, but at the same time, he also wanted to improve his cultivation. Therefore, he did not choose to launch a sneak attack. Instead, he chose to attack head-on. Only by facing a direct attack, facing a threat, and being attacked would the potential within the body be stimulated. The flaming red rat noticed Ling Xiao's presence. Its scarlet eyes were filled with coldness and disdain. When a demonic beast reached this level, it naturally had a certain level of intelligence. It was very disdainful of Ling Xiao's strength. A puny human dared to challenge the flaming red rat. He was courting death. It screamed and charged towards Ling Xiao. A human and a mouse collided in the void. Rumble. A terrifying explosion sounded. However, the battle did not stop. Although Ling Xiao was sent flying by the claw, he immediately turned back and continued to attack. The flaming red rat was furious when it realized that its claw had not killed the detestable human. Its aura became even more terrifying. The battle was actually very monotonous. Ling Xiao was basically being abused, one-sidedly, but every time he was able to successfully avoid being hit in the vital parts. Although he was injured, he became more and more courageous, because he found that during the battle, his sea of cultivation was increasing crazily. Basically, every time the flaming red rat attacked, its energy would increase by 1/10. 10 attacks would increase his energy by 1/10. As long as he did not get killed, he would definitely win this battle. After all, every time his energy increased by 1/10, his strength would double. This was a very frightening thing for the flaming red rat. The extremely fast battle allowed Ling Xiao's sea of cultivation to reach 100% energy in the shortest time possible. However, Ling Xiao might have gotten used to such a strong opponent. He found that after the energy in his sea of cultivation reached 100% energy, it almost stopped moving. This kind of energy could not help him break through the barrier of cultivation. It's time to end this. He did not want to waste any more time. At that moment, he activated the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. Anyway, there was no one else around except Xiao Jin. The moment the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit was activated, the flaming red rat seemed to have sensed danger. It gave up attacking and turned to run. But Ling Xiao would not give it a chance to escape. Sky Tyrant, True Devil Sword Formation. The True Devil Sword Formation, released by the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit, was extremely powerful. The 9 sword lights increased by 100 times. The terrifying sword essence actually stopped the flaming red rat from running away. Boom! The sword lights finally penetrated the flaming red rat. The flaming red rat did not even have time to scream before it fell to the ground, completely dead. The attack seems to be a bit too strong. Seeing the flaming red rat like that, Ling Xiao frowned. He just wanted to stop that guy from running away. He did not expect the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit to be so powerful. The flaming red rat's body was not complete. Fortunately, the monster core was not damaged. Xiao Jin, the heat in the monster core is yours. The rest is mine. After dealing with the flaming red rat, Ling Xiao sat cross-legged and extracted all the heat in the monster core. Then, he injected it into Xiao Jin's body. As for him, he directly swallowed the demonic beast's core. The moment he swallowed the red flame rat's crystal core, a terrifying energy was released from his body, rushing to his limbs and bones. Although it was a bit painful, but on his face there was an excited smile, because the cultivation barrier that he could not break before was easily pierced through like a piece of paper. He broke through. It was so easy. It was like breaking through to the advanced stage of the 14th level of hell. As for Xiao Jin, after taking the source of heat of the flaming red rat, his strength also increased a lot. He was close to breaking through. Boss, I still need 70% of the energy. I think I will be able to break through after killing a dozen more of such monsters. Xiao Jin said excitedly. Okay, let's follow this method and break through the 2nd floor of the 9-story demon tower. Ling Xiao could feel that not only did he break through, but the Sun Divine Beast Soul seemed to have begun to merge with his soul. But for now, the merging was still too small. It was only 1 in 10,000. To fully awaken, there was still a long way to go. Moreover, he had to find a container that was not inferior to the undying bird beast soul. Next, Ling Xiao and Xiao Jin continued to look for suitable monsters. After spending about an hour, they had already killed a total of 20 fire-attributed demonic beasts. Although not all of them were rodent monsters, it was already very satisfying. Ling Xiao's cultivation C's energy had once again risen to 50%. However, the speed had gradually slowed down. It wasn't as fast as before. Chapter 2976. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation C energy increased at a slower speed, Xiao Jin finally achieved a great improvement in strength. He stepped into the early stage of the 15th level of the Yin-Yang realm. The hunting plan was easier than they thought. With the first experience, the next one would be even easier. It's not enough. Even with our current strength, it's nothing in the Devil Dragon Sword Court. We have to continue. At the very least, we have to reach the level where we can defeat the Demon Envoy. At that point, there won't be many people in the Devil Dragon Sword Court who will dare to bully us. Although Ling Xiao was excited, he was extremely calm. He knew that they were still very weak now. Whether it was him or Xiao Jin, they could easily kill Lin Feiyang. However, his ambition did not lie there. He never forgot that those people from the Immortal Palace were his most important opponents. How could the royal family give the Moon Lady to him so easily? At that time, he might have to rely on force to fight for it. With the improvement of his strength, Ling Xiao's ambition also grew. A demonic beast with the strength of the early stage of the 15th level of the Yin-Yang realm could no longer satisfy his need to quickly improve his cultivation. Therefore, while continuing to hunt the fire attribute rat-type demonic beasts, He began to look for more powerful, demonic beasts. "Boss, there's someone ahead." Suddenly, Xiao Jin reminded him, "You hide first." Ling Xiao called out to Xiao Jin and then moved in that direction. At this moment, a young warrior wearing the Devil Dragon Sword Court's disciple uniform was facing a fierce demonic beast alone. This demonic beast was also a rat-type demonic beast. It was not a fire-type demonic beast, but a light-type demonic beast. It was also suitable for him and Xiao Jin. However, it was more powerful than the blazing red rat from before. Its strength had reached the middle stage of the 15th level of the Yin-Yang realm. It was called the Golden Light Rat. This guy was golden all over and was extremely fast. When it ran, it was like a golden light. Of course, not only was it fast, but its combat power was also very strong. In particular, the terrifying heat that it spat out could easily melt ordinary monarch weapons. When fighting this guy, it was impossible to be hit by its light. The Devil Dragon Sword Court disciple fighting the Golden Light Rat had the same cultivation as the Golden Light Rat, but his speed was not as fast. Moreover, the weapon in his hand had been melted and was very dangerous. "Do you need help?" Of course, Ling Xiao's question wasn't purely out of kindness. It was because he wanted to obtain the Golden Light Mouse. When the young martial artist saw him, it was as if he had found a life-saving straw. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. He suddenly turned around and charged towards Ling Xiao. Then, his figure flashed, and he fled into the distance. When the luminous mouse saw Ling Xiao, it stopped chasing him. Although Ling Xiao hated that guy for causing trouble, he didn't chase after him. Instead, he happily faced the Golden Light Mouse. He had wanted to keep the Golden Light Mouse to himself, but now that it had escaped, it would be more convenient for him. Otherwise, it would not be easy to deal with two enemies who were at the middle stage of the first transition, 15th level of hell. Hee, little gold, we're in luck this time. Ling Xiao glanced at Xiao Jin. He had already taken out the Demon Dragon Sword and blocked the Golden Light Rat's crazy attack. It's really strong. Feeling the surge of energy in his cultivation sea, Ling Xiao knew that he had made the right choice to fight with a demon of this level. Although he was beaten up badly, almost as if he had been brutally abused by the fiery red rat just now. But his face was still blooming with an excited smile. Anyway, although the Golden Light Mouse was powerful, it couldn't kill him. It could be used to stimulate the infinite potential in his body. He fought with the Golden Light Mouse for hundreds of rounds. The Golden Light Mouse went from being crazy in the beginning to making the same move as the fiery red rat in the end. It turned around and ran. This guy should be cursing in his heart. What's the point of fighting if you can't kill me? After such a long time, the Golden Light Mouse had consumed a lot of energy. It didn't have any pills to recover its demon power, and the wounds on its body couldn't be healed in a short time. Ling Xiao didn't think so. He swallowed the 1,000-year Lingji pill and chased after it. Under the tyrant blood demon dragon martial soul transformation, he suddenly used the demon dragon blood curse. The demon dragon blood curse had a limited effect on the Golden Light Mouse because of the large difference in their cultivation levels. But even so, it still had an effect. The Golden Light Mouse suddenly slowed down and let out a painful scream. Blood kept spurting out of the wounds that Ling Xiao had made on its body. Ling Xiao summoned the Tyrant Sky martial soul again, but this time he didn't use the True Devil sword formation. Instead, he used the True Devil sword chi. He didn't want to shatter the demon crystal core. The Golden Light Mouse had just returned to normal when the True Devil sword chi pierced through its body. It screamed and fell to the ground. Ha ha ha, awesome. This is so King awesome. The energy in my cultivation, C, has increased to 100% again. I reckon that after consuming this demonic beast crystal core, my cultivation should have improved. Ling Xiao laughed wildly. Then he drew out all the heat energy in the Golden Light Mouse's demon crystal core and let little gold swallow it. After swallowing it, Little Gold's strength broke through again and reached the middle stage of the 15th level of hell in the yin-yang first turn. When Little Gold broke through, Ling Xiao also ate the Golden Light Mouse's demon crystal core. As the energy storm raged in his body, his cultivation level broke through again and reached the peak of the 14th level of hell in the yin-yang first turn. Previously, Chen Luo said that he wouldn't be able to reach the peak of the 14th level of hell in 10 or even 100 years. However, Ling Xiao did it 2 days after joining the Devil Dragon Sword Court. He wondered what those demon generals who looked down on him would think when they learned of this fact. Would they be so surprised that their jaws would drop? Of course, the breakthrough was only a small one. At the same time, Ling Xiao's Sun Divine Beast Soul awakening speed increased again. When the awakening speed increased, Ling Xiao could clearly feel that his combat strength had also increased. Because the Devil Dragon possession was a low-grade martial art, its effect was getting worse and worse. Ling Xiao was worried that he wouldn't be able to maintain a strong combat strength. The awakening of the Beast God Martial Soul opened up a new path for him, at least in the Black Tortoise Continent. This would never be outdated. Continue. Ling Xiao called out and continued to use the Tai Chi Eye to look for suitable demon beasts. He was no longer interested in those demon beasts at the early stage of the 15th level of hell. Now he was looking for demon beasts at the middle stage. However, he didn't find a suitable demon beast for the time being, but he saw a person. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. It's actually that kid just now. Although the warrior just abandoned the Golden Light Mouse and ran away, it didn't cause any danger to him. However, his intentions were vicious. He wanted to help out of kindness, even if he wanted to split the spoils equally. However, that guy actually diverted the trouble and let him bear the danger alone.